he's such a well-liked guy in our locker room. But these guys want to win, and they know this is an opportunity to help us to win football games. So I'm sure there'll be some excitement. Micah's production in his first 4 years in the league, sure he's very well known. So I think our guys will understand why we did this.
Welcome in the Tuesday edition. Are you refreshed? Are you ready? It's Lions Week. It's Lions Week. Baseball continues on. Brewers off today, a much-needed day off. But it's Lions Week. Here we go. Here we go. Football, yeah, back. Football back. Micah Parsons. Thank you very much. In the house. In the house. So there you go. So that's everything going on this weekend. So there you have it. You've got all of that coming up, obviously, but it is football week after a long weekend. It was a wonderful weekend. A wonderful, wonderful weekend. I'll give you some totals coming up here a little bit later on, but we did really well. I don't know if you... Hey, by the way, I want to start off by saying thanks to WBAY-TV in Green Bay. They covered the event. Mike Clemens posted it. Mike was up in Green Bay, and I guess he was sitting there watching WBAY News, and there we were. There we were all of a sudden. And for the motorcycle ride over the weekend, we had a wonderful turnout. And I'll talk more about that coming up here a little bit later on. But you got the Brewers kind of limp into the break, and they needed it. Don't get me wrong, but they kind of limp into the break. And the Miz is the last couple of times Miz has pitched, it just hasn't been stellar. He's looked okay, but he's still hitting, the 100-mile-an-hour mark, but they're catching up to him a little bit. Maybe they're figuring him out. I know Bryce Harper didn't have a problem with it. So anyway, long story short, the Brewers get knocked off yesterday, and it wasn't Miz's fault. They did because he was already out of the game. But nevertheless, the bullpen certainly seems to be taxed right now, and it doesn't matter who in the bullpen they're throwing out there right now. Teams are teeing off on them. So I'm sure Murphy's, kind of pulling the hair out a little bit. But this week you had college football opening up of the weekend, a massive, massive overreaction about everything on Sunday and Monday. And then we start to set our sights on the Micah Parsons arrival. Now, the question is whether he will or will not play against Detroit. I don't know. If he does, I got to imagine it's going to be very limited. Certain packages that they dial up for him, and that's going to be the extent of it. I can't imagine that they're going to, jump right in where he's going to play every snap. I mean, he's not even really football ready, so to speak. But I would think that he's going to see the field. I would think. But I can't imagine if he does, it's going to be a whole lot. The whole back issue that everybody's screaming about, I guess, I don't know what every detail happens to be, because some of this was obviously wink posturing as to whether or not he was actually ready to play and was going to be held on to by the Cowboys. And if he was held on to by the Cowboys, he was going to have the back issue, which, I always said, if you rub a lot of money on it, it kind of goes away. But we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what comes out of Green Bay. We're going to hear from, by the way, Matt LaFleur today. We're going to hear from Brian Gutekunst today. At some point, I would assume we're going to hear from Mike Clemens today. And then at some point, I should say about an hour and 25 minutes from now, we're going to hear from our buddy Chuck Freimund from the Locked On Brewers podcast. So he is going to be joining us as well. So we got all that coming up. You want to find us? Please do. Please do. All you got to try to do is track us down, 877-867-1670, 867-8670. You can give us a buzz. Also, text us, 608-321-1670, 608-321-1670. You can find us on YouTube. Please subscribe on YouTube. It's absolutely free. And as the season gets here, we're going to be doing a lot. We got huddles coming up this week. We kick off the huddle. This week we do. Huddle this coming Wednesday night. Huddle on Wednesday night. the postgame show, Green and Gold postgame show, live from Burkle Sports Bar in Green Bay coming up this weekend. We are going to be there. They're going to have all kinds of different specials and such going on. So hopefully you get a chance to come over and say hi to us. Then next week, we're going to be live in Tomahawk, Wisconsin at Castaways Pub and Grill next Thursday night. Not this one, but next Thursday night after the Packers take on the Commanders at Lambeau Field. We're going to be at Castaways, and that's where we're going to have some fun. And this is our first, well, really, I shouldn't say that. It's our second postgame show in Tomahawk. We did one at Loophole, and then we're going to be at Castaways coming up on Thursday night. So again, follow us on YouTube. You can catch us anywhere and everywhere. You can subscribe absolutely free. Find us on Twitter at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. Find Grant at Wisco Grant. You can also track us down on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that kind of good stuff. On the LinkedIn app, on the Twitch app, on the Kick app, all those different apps carry the program. You can find us at The Bill Michaels Show, The Bill Michaels Show. And you can also find us via email. All you got to do is email us at thebillmichaels@gmail.com. The website, thebillmichaels.com. The app is WOZN, the Zone Madison, which is now Wisco Sports Zone. Just look up Wisco Sports Zone, and you're going to track us down. And then we're on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcast after the fact. And the television show, which will be Saturday night, it'll be our preview show for the Green and Gold season. Saturday night, 8 o'clock Central Time on My24 TV right here in the Milwaukee area. My24 TV Milwaukee. You can always find it online. Go to My24 Milwaukee, and you can also watch the link and watch the show there as well. So there's plenty of ways to track us down. So there you have it. Grant Bills, how you doing today? How was a long weekend?
I'm doing good, Bill. You know me. I love the Milwaukee area, the Madison area, Lake Country, everything down here, southeastern Wisconsin. It's the place to be. But I tell you what, I go a couple hours north. They got that Leinenkugel sign on top of the bar from 1986, and I'm like, this is good. This is where I should be.
It's like an old shoe.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, exactly. So that was my weekend. I got to see my family. It was very nice. Watched the perfect amount of college football, which is I saw the bigger, most important games, and then ignored a lot of the crappy ones. And now the NFL season starts this week, and we're gonna hear from Micah Parsons. And I was just very excited to come in this morning.
Yeah, I am. I'm looking forward to this week. Mainly for the fact that I don't have a lot of work.
Well, you just show up to work and react to all of the great games and all the great stories. It's easy.
This week is, I have to admit, the biggest announcement of the week is Brendan Michaels came into the world. If you didn't know.
Mazel tov. I didn't know that.
Yeah, my grandson arrived yesterday. So
congrats.
Yeah, that was the biggest announcement of the week. So we had a great time with the ride and everything, but the biggest announcement of the week was my daughter-in-law. She didn't really go into labor. She's late. So they were going to induce her on Sunday, and they started doing that, and it was like, nope, nothing happening. There's nothing there. So we got the call yesterday that said, hey, they're probably going to schedule her for a C-section, so you might want to be here. And then, I was talking to Kristen, and Kristen's like, yeah, if you have a C-section, you don't want anybody around. You just want to hang with your kid and go to sleep because it hurts. And so I called my son back and I said, hey, you want us all to come down? And he said, yeah, she doesn't want anybody here right now. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll come tomorrow. So that's what I'm doing after I get off the air today. So
do you want, 5, 6, 7, 8 people to all pile into the hotel room real quick now? Like if I was giving birth, I'd probably just give me an hour. Yeah. Give me just a little bit.
Yeah. So, but Brendan Michaels came into the world, 7 pounds. I think it's 7 pounds, 10 ounces. So, yep. He came into the world yesterday. So
congratulations.
There you go. September 1st. Easy to remember. So that was the weekend. We raised, by the way, now we are not completely done counting. We have some other counts that have to come in, but we raised more money this year than we did last year. And last year we broke records. We didn't break records in motorcycles, but between donations and motorcycles that had 2 people versus 1, and then the raffle that was for the stereo system that thanks to Tim and Tim Stereo Systems, that raised almost $2,000. And then some of the donations that came in, I'll give you a rundown because the day was phenomenal. I mean, everything that went on, but we are well over $23,000 right now. And we have not even taken in the credit card statements as of yet. So, and last year we raised 21,000. So we just busted records like crazy. So it was great. And eventually we'll get it all sorted out and make our presentation to Fisher House, Wisconsin. But it was just an incredibly wonderful day, beautiful weather. And we, between the flyover, the Wisconsin Commemorative Air Force Wing is fantastic. It was really cool to see the Korean warplane and then the Air Force, the old Korean War era Air Force aviator trainer fly over. Ben Tajnai did the anthem. It was amazing. It gave you goosebumps.
I saw some pictures or some B-roll of you and Ben, I think, up on the stage on the news story that Mike shared. That made the final story.
It was amazing. That guy is just, he is just an unbelievable singer, but there was like people crying and people hugging. And it was just, our family reunion every year is just magnificent. So it was great. And then, like I said, the weather couldn't have been any more perfect. The Milwaukee Police Department, the Milwaukee Sheriff's Department, the town of Oconomowoc or the city of Oconomowoc Police Department, absolutely wonderful. Everybody along the way was safe, and it went off basically with almost out of hitch. It was unbelievable. So we had a great time. So I'll talk more about that later. But the big story, obviously, Micah Parsons will he not play. Brewers take a loss, and it's funny because every time it's like 5.5 games, which is where the Brewers lead is right now. They're 5.5 up. And suddenly I get Cubs fans coming out of the woodwork. They lost yesterday. And my phone, from messages and emails, I'm like, you're 5.5 back with 4 weeks to play. It's done. No. Am I worried? No, I'm not. It's like, okay, we're sitting here on the Brewers don't play again until the 3rd of September. I'm not worried. That's it. So it was a loss. Oh, well, you've gained a game in 3 weeks. Think about it. You gained a game in 3 weeks. The Cubs won yesterday. Brewers lost yesterday. It's 5.5 games. Okay, we're good. Smoke them if you got them. But that being said, now let me ask you this, Grant. Do you have any concerns over the quote back of Micah Parsons?
No, I mean, I feel like I'll be able to give you a much stronger answer in a week. My answer right now is no, after reading some of the things that I read last night. Right.
I'm not concerned.
That's not to say that he's fine, but from what we've been told and from what I've read, it does not seem like the biggest deal in the world to me right now.
Well, that's just it. It doesn't seem like it's a big deal. We knew some of this was posturing. So I'm not concerned about it. He's going to be okay. Everybody's going to be fine. We hope, knock on wood, but am I like sitting here worried right now that he's not going to be able to play football this year? No. I think what happens is people read headlines and they don't either know situations, which is fine because nobody expects you to know everything. They either don't know situations or don't read further into the story. It's just clickbaits, headlines, and that's it. And isn't it ironic that you get a player of his ilk that is then traded away and suddenly he's a bad guy? He's a cancer. He's an ego. He's all self-absorbed. All this stuff comes out of Dallas now. Dallas Cowboys fans, all they wanted to do was keep Micah Parsons. For Jerry to pay the man, get this over with. Come on. He's one of the best players in football. Get it over with. And the minute the trade went down, they freaked out. And now it's like, yeah, he was a bad guy. You're not going to win with him. 1 sack and 4 postseason appearances. Just on and on and on and on and on. Here comes all the negative. None of this. I can't tell you one Cowboys fan, not one, that said anything negative about Micah Parsons until he got traded. And then it was good riddance. Don't let the door hit you on the ass. You're never going to win. You're an ego. You're all the problem. You're a great player, but, and then they list all the problems. I never heard any of that. Did we think with his podcast and him being outspoken that there might be this ego or this some things that he says probably inappropriate and should stay behind closed doors? Absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt. But he also called guys on the carpet that needed to be called on the carpet, including Dak Prescott, who hasn't proven blank in the postseason. So for all the Cowboys fans that came screaming, whining, and yelling over the weekend about what a bad guy Micah Parsons is because he's got 1 sack in 4 postseason appearances, tell me about your quarterback who gets nervous and throws picks. Like, I had a guy tell me over the weekend, and I respect the hell out of him because he's a Cowboys fan. He's trying to make chicken salad out of chicken stuff, but he's going on and on and on about how now the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl. Now they've got the ability to stop Saquon Barkley because Kenny Clark's going to be in the middle. Now that they've got no more egos on the defensive side of the football, everybody's going to listen. Now they're going to start winning. And I said, how are you going to win? Oh, well, Dak's back. Give me Dak's record. Because all they want to do is harp on Micah's 1 sack and 4 postseason appearances. I know that. Doesn't mean he wasn't on the field. Doesn't mean he still didn't dictate portions of games. But what? Tell me about Dak. Tell me how Dak choked over there in San Francisco. Tell me about how Dak got his ass beat by the Green Bay Packers and out-schemed by that defense. Tell me about all of that. I find it amazing. Like, all of a sudden he's out the door and suddenly Micah Parsons is one of the worst people ever to walk the face of the earth.
It's funny because you know what came up again over the last week or two, or, you know, as this trade has kind of come together, is Micah Parsons against the Packers in the playoffs 2 years ago, where he had 2 or 3 opportunities where he thought, here's a sack, I'm going to get one. And then Aaron Jones came out of nowhere and blasted him, you know, in pass pro. Remember that? Right. So I think if you were to go back and look through the playoff games, I see someone coming on the live stream, like 1 sack in 4 playoff games. How many of those games have they been getting their doors blasted? And so the other team's not throwing. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it's funny that you're correct. The honeymoon period seems like it might be kind of over, and criticisms might be starting to be voiced by Packers fans. Yeah.
It's just, you know, go back to the San Francisco game. San Francisco got up. Dak was throwing picks. San Francisco got up. They could run the ball with McCaffrey. So Micah Parsons was not going to be a pass rusher, particularly in that game. And they, don't get me wrong, he's still a threat because they ran Brock Purdy to the opposite side on a lot of movement, motion dropbacks. So that's what you do. Quick outs, and they had numerous weapons, and their secondary wasn't that good. So, yeah, he wasn't going to get to the quarterback in 2 seconds. It's just, again, I get the statistics, but you still had to account for that guy at that time. And oh, by the way, when a team is up on you, they're going to run the football because then the clock is your enemy and not the opponent. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, please feel free to go ahead and do so. And I'll tell you this, I think in a second, if Micah Parsons would say, nope, want to be a Dallas Cowboy again, let's work out a trade and go back, I think you'd take him back with open arms and you'd be all jumping up and down in the streets in a heartbeat. Because for those that are saying now they're a better team because they got, you know, the middle all of a sudden solidify with Kenny Clark. I love Kenny. He's a very nice guy and he's a very quiet leader and he can be a run stuffer. I get it. But don't suddenly tell me that you are a better football team because you lost to a game-wrecking pass rusher, a guy that's on his way to a gold jacket. No, that doesn't wash. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. Stick around. We'll be back right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket, this is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Killed it. They absolutely killed it. Suburban Harley-Davidson over the weekend, where the party ultimately culminated. They killed it. They did a great job. Thanks to the vendors. Thanks to our friends from Suburban Harley, Wayne's Drive-In, who supplied the food after the fact. All the volunteers. Our buddy Scott, who helped with staging. Justin, our buddy Justin, who comes down from Wausau and does damn near anything and everything for us. We always appreciate his help. And he came down and kind of took over the staging as well. Thanks to our friend Casey, who ran the check-in. And obviously that was Kristen's gig, not mine. But at the bottom of the hour, you know what? The top of the next hour, I'll give you the total, because I think the totals are coming in on money, because today was the day the bank had to add everything up. So they already gave me some gross stuff, but I wanted to check it out. But thanks to Six Pack Sammy, the band, because they were amazing. And they should get more recognition for just good rock and roll music, because they're really a good band. And they had a lot of people had never heard of them. And they were like, wow, these guys are really good. I said, that's the reason we brought them in. And they didn't hardly charge us anything. And they donated a lot of their time. And that was fantastic. Thanks to our friends from New York, who got up at 2 a.m. this morning to go back to New York from a One Soldier, One Dog, One Team. And they are just the salt of the earth, best people you could ever run into. They just are so fantastic. And we hope and pray that next year our friend Tim Duffy has fully recovered from his injuries from the motorcycle accident when he was hit by a car a year ago. And we hope that he is able to join us next year. We cannot wait to see Tim. Cannot wait to see Tim. But our friends from Suburban Harley-Davidson, Todd and Aaron and everybody did such a great job. Thanks so much for all that you did for the motorcycle ride this weekend. So this is from Michael, who says that Michael Parsons is a tremendous player. Nobody is doubting his talent on the field. What we're doubting is, as a Cowboys fan, he says, what we're doubting is his ability to mesh with others in a locker room and not consider himself king of all kings. He always seemed to have an ego that would fill the locker room and go beyond, as if he was the best player on the team. Michael, he was. He was the best player on your team. Tell me a player who's better. Tell me a player who's better. You'd like to have a humble player. I get it, but tell me a player who's better. Dak Prescott? Come on, man. Who's better? CeeDee Lamb? Maybe he's in that ilk, but I don't think CeeDee Lamb right now in this particular moment in time is considered, above, say, Jamar Chase. He's not above Justin Jefferson. You can go on and on and on. Crazy. So it's just, he's your best player.
We talked about this a little bit last week, asking around, and what you hear from people down there is, yeah, he's a little eccentric and he's a little odd, but he expects the world out of his teammates, and he shows it. He's not someone who barks at his teammates to be better and to try harder when he's not better and trying harder, right? He acts everything that he says. And look, if you're a great player and you're performing, I can take that from you as long as you're holding up your end. You know what I mean? Like, as long as you're walking the walk, I don't really care what you talk, as long as you perform.
Right. He's your best player. So I don't know. What else do we have here? This is from another Michael, but this is our Michael from here in Wisconsin. Congrats on the grandbaby. I believe when the Brewers started the streak of 19 games in 18 days, they had 9-game lead on the Cubs. If the Brewers play 500 ball with 24 left, the Cubs need to go 17-7 in their final 24 to take the division. This could get interesting considering the Brewers could be limping towards the playoffs. The Miz has been figured out by major league hitters. Woodruff hasn't necessarily been great in his last 3 outings. McGill is on the shelf until mid-September. Mears has been getting hit lately. Priester had to be moved back into the rotation because of arm stiffness. The pen is worn out. DL Hall is missed. Uribe not ready as a closer yet. So, and there's a lot of truth to all of that. When they got to 9 games, was that before they went to Chicago, though?
I think that was probably after game 1 in Chicago because they won that opener.
Yeah. So that was already a couple of games into the 19 games in 18 days. Because I think that's when it got to its highest point, was when they won that first game, and then the next game got rained out, if I'm not mistaken. He says Parsons being a facet strain can be alarming. That's the socket that holds the disc. Can be treated, obviously. However, if it progresses, it becomes a disc issue, kind of like Stafford is dealing with in LA. And that can be concerning. I just wonder how severe that is right now. That's what I'm wondering, is how severe actually that is. Anytime you talk about a back and any player in Major League Baseball, in the NFL, that's always concerning. But it didn't really become an issue until he didn't have a contract. Because from everything you heard about his offseason, his workouts, everything was fine. So we'll see what the actual back issue is. 877-867-1670. Hit us up, 877-867-1670. Find us, want to hear from you. Give us a shout. What else do we have here? This is from, who's this from? This is from Joe. Joe says, hey, guys, I think Micah Parsons is a huge asset to the Green Bay Packers. He may be the puzzle piece that this team needs to get him over the top because it tells everybody they're serious about winning. The only question I have is, can the offense keep up? I think the offense is a good offense. I don't know about keeping up. I think the offense is a very good offense. I think the offense is, it was interesting because I was watching Dan Orlovsky yesterday break down the offense. And the one thing he said is what I've said all along, is the offense, I think, is loaded. And he said, yeah, they don't have a lot of superstars. But what I've been saying all along is the sum of its parts is probably better than the individuals, because you seemingly have depth at a lot of different positions. Your running back room, obviously led by Josh Jacobs, is good. Your tight end room is very good. You've got depth at the wide receiver position. The addition of Matthew Golden, hopefully, begins to pay dividends almost immediately. But it all hinges on the arm, the quarterback smarts of Jordan Love. And everybody believes that he went away in the offseason. He worked on some of the fundamentals, the mechanics. You're just kind of waiting for that thumb to fully heal. But it doesn't affect his throwing arm. It doesn't affect his vision. You're ready to go. So if Jordan Love is the guy, and he doesn't have to be the guy that played in the second half of his first season under center, he has to be that guy that plays, say, close to that or into that same area of level to guide this team, because he's fantastic.
I think I heard Nick Wright on Fox. Maybe I'll go try to find this audio. He used Jalen Hurts as a good comp for Jordan Love, right? If this is going to be an egalitarian offense and now a stud on defense, Jordan Love doesn't need to ball out and throw for 4 touchdowns every week. There ideally will be some games where he just kind of needs to man the controls. Josh Jacobs is going to do his thing. But then some weeks, and we saw this with the Eagles in the NFC Championship game and then in the Super Bowl, some weeks he'll have to be that guy. Not every week. The goal is you don't want your quarterback to have to be amazing every single week. That means your team stinks, right?
Right.
My question is, can Jordan Love play a very even-keeled, kind of controlling brand of football and then also step it up when he needs to in big moments? Because I think there were a couple of opportunities for him to do that last year and he couldn't really. That's what I'm most interested in seeing.
Right. No, I agree. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Got a lot more to get to. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Potawatomi. The sports book up and running. They got gaming. The sports book, as I had mentioned, they have different restaurants. They've got music rocking through the place upstairs. They've got it at the Rock and Brews. They've got the live bands, the DJs. They have the hotel, the bars, everything connected to it. Get down there. Obviously, it's going to be a big football season, whether it's collegiate or pro. Big, big, big screen inside the sports book. That is Potawatomi. Go to paysbig.com. That is paysbig.com.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Truck drivers and owner-operators, there's never been a better time to team up at Schneider. We have more team-friendly loads than ever, including express delivery parcel freight that offers great miles with no delays to keep the wheels turning. Plus, for a limited time, company team drivers may be eligible for a sign-on bonus of up to $16,000. Owner-operator teams may qualify for a $10,000 incentive. Explore team driver positions at SchneiderJobs.com and search team contracting jobs at SchneiderOwneroperators.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Who's the biggest winner here? It's hard not to say Jeff Hafley. It's something that's been kind of rolling around in my mind the past 24 hours. This feels like a moment where Jeff Hafley might have just stamped his ticket to be an NFL head coach in a year. Excellent year one. And now he's got elite players, elite talent at all levels of his defense. Micah Parsons, Edrin Cooper, a guy that the Packers absolutely believe to develop into a star at linebacker in year two. And obviously the best safety in the league in Xavier McKinney. All levels of Jeff Hafley's defense, there's elite talent, and you fully expect this group to take a significant jump in year two with his scheme. In Micah Parsons, they have someone who's not just a pass rusher. They've got a queen on the chessboard. He can be used in so many different ways. And what do we know about Jeff Hafley? His bag of creativity is endless.
The words of Ryan Wood, covering the covering the Packers for the Green Bay Press Gazette, PackersNews.com on Grant's show this past Friday. Welcome back to the program. This portion of it brought to you by our friends over there at Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill. Big weekend for them. They had a great viewing audience for all the collegiate games over the weekend, and obviously some Brewers baseball. Beautiful weekend to sit out on the balcony, watch the boats go by on Pewaukee Lake. But they're right there on Lakeview Boulevard in Pewaukee. Don't forget tomorrow night, darts and Taco Tuesday and all kinds of. And they said, don't forget, also in a week, you've got Monday Night Football that's going to start up. Thursday Night Football coming up this week. So a lot of good stuff going on sports-wise over there at Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill. So when you say who's going to benefit from Micah Parsons' addition, and you know, I heard this morning that it's going to be Lucas Van Ness. I don't know how much playing time is going to be split or not between Lucas Van Ness and Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons and how they're going to move guys around. I'm waiting to hear from Jeff Hafley. But he's not going to give you state secrets, so you're not going to know until you see it. But I got to think that the benefactors to this are going to be Rashawn Gary, probably first and foremost. He'll be the first guy because the opposite end will most likely benefit. So it'll be Rashawn Gary. And I would assume, or maybe hope, I shouldn't assume, but maybe hope that he goes back to some of the numbers and the pressures and such that he was getting prior to his maybe injury. So I would probably think him. But I got to think a guy like Devontae Wyatt, Carl Brooks, those guys in the middle, and maybe even Edrin Cooper might benefit even more, you know, with the way that Hafley can maneuver linebackers around and shoot the gaps and such. And Quay Walker stays more in the pass coverage situation. Edrin Cooper is a guy. And if indeed they go with a true, you know, a constant two middle linebackers on the field, I got to think a guy like Edrin Cooper, where there's going to be a gap, can shoot that gap. It's going to be, I cannot wait to watch Jeff Hafley and how he's going to disguise things to show where pressures and such are coming from. But this mark, and make no mistake about it, this mark of just Micah Parsons is probably going back to what the Packers wanted when we saw Philadelphia dominate the line of scrimmage against Kansas City in the Super Bowl, where they said it last year in the end of season press conferences, they just wanted to be able to get home with 4. They wanted to be able to rush 4 and be able to drop guys or shoot gaps, and it give you the option to wait where you just kind of play with your instinct or your zone, and you still get home with pressures of just 4. So my guess is going to be it's going to be Quay Walker. It is going to be, or not Quay Walker, excuse me. It's going to be Rashawn Gary, and it's going to be Devontae Wyatt. Those are the guys that are probably going to benefit the most up front from Micah Parsons being on this team.
I think Gary's the clear number one, because now he's a number 2 now. He's not a number 1. Like, think of how much easier his life is going to be. But I think all those names you mentioned, like Quay, Wyatt, Brooks, all these guys who we're like kind of tangentially excited about, but it's probably unreasonable to think that they're ever going to be stars, right? Like, those guys can just kind of do their thing and have a moment once or twice a game. And with Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary kind of leading the way, now that's enough.
Right.
Like, you don't need Devontae Wyatt to get 4 or 5 pressures a game. If he has 1 or 2 in a big spot when it counts, that's all you really need from him now.
Right. No, I completely agree. If Rashawn Gary, and people forget, because you look at Rashawn Gary over the last 2 years and you're like, the numbers aren't great. When he came into the league, he was not considered a big time pass rusher. And then I didn't think it was a great pick. I was not happy with it when Goody made that pick. And then he began to ascend. And every year his ceiling started to grow until the injury. And the injury set him back. And then he had the injury, he had the surgery. The year after you're coming back from an ACL surgery, you're never the same player. You're trying to get back to what you were, but you're always in the back of your mind. You're worried about the knee. You're just all that stuff. It's the year after you come back that you start to ascend. And then he started out slow. And then this at the end of the season this last year, he started to kind of becoming Rashawn Gary again and started to get you some pressures. I mean, but you look at the numbers, and I saw a statistic earlier today that when you talk about the win rate of pressures on quarterbacks for last year, the Green Bay Packers, for as good as their defense was, their win rate on pressures was, I think they were ranked 26th. Micah Parsons was ranked 2nd overall in all of the NFL last year. When he played, he was ranked number 2. You have to think that the win rate of the Green Bay Packers, even if the defense stays the same as what they did last year, however, they get a few more turnovers because that's part of their concentration coming into the season, and their win rate begins to increase. Say it goes from 26th to 13th. They cut it in half. It just gets better, because then all of a sudden you're looking at a pretty dominating, supportive defense if the offense appears to be anything at all. All of that has to make you feel good. And I know it's a cautionary tale of optimism, because you don't want to just say, hey, start putting the lettering on the Lombardi trophy now, okay? Because that's ridiculous. It is so hard to get from point A to point B. But you have certainly, this is, when Goody says one player doesn't guarantee anything, I agree with that. But what you just did was you made yourself that much better. Starting this season, you're that much better than what you were a couple of weeks ago, without a doubt. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Let's go to Doug, listening to us in Luxembourg. Doug, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Doing good. Beautiful day, Bill.
Yes, it is.
At the very least, what I'm looking for out of Michael Parsons is the Packers have the lead. We're in the 4th quarter, and there's maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes left in the game, and it's like Dandy Don says, turn out the lights, the party's over.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of wondering if we're going to hang on to this lead or lose it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what his main job is here,
Yep.
So that's what I'm looking for, but I'm pumping the brakes a little bit on this whole deal. I know everybody's just going gaga over it, but in my opinion, they gave up enough to get him,
Yeah.
And but you gotta pay for something to get something.
Exactly.
So I'm hoping it's going to work,
Yep.
Stay healthy, knock on wood, and we'll have a great season.
I would agree. Appreciate it. Appreciate the phone call. 877-867-1670. I agree with all of that. First of all, you didn't give up too much to get him. And I don't know anybody, and Grant, you tell me if you've heard different. Has there been anybody that says the Dallas Cowboys won this deal?
No, there have been people who said, well, I kind of see why Dallas is in this spot, but nobody's praising Dallas for fleecing Green Bay.
Right.
That's what you're asking.
Everybody has said that the Green Bay Packers fleeced the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry got emotional over the money. Jerry got emotional over the deal. He let his head and emotions get the best of his analytic brain as far as the general manager side of things go, and he got fleeced. 2 1s and a player. And I don't want to discredit Kenny Clark in any way, shape, or form. Because people say, well, he's an aging player. He's in the end of his career. He's 30. I think he's 30, like 30, 31, something like that. But Kenny Clark's a good player. I thought Kenny Clark would come back and have a better season this year after that toe issue from last year. Because you don't realize how much you need a toe. Just think about it. If you stub your toe and you can't walk around your house, now think about going down into a 4-point stance and trying to push a 300-pound lineman around with the use of a bad toe. It's almost impossible to do without being in excruciating pain. And that's what he played with last year. Now they'd shoot it up so he didn't feel it. I get it, but you still don't have that same capabilities. Now he's got the toe back. So I think he's going to have a better season. He worked very hard in the offseason about getting stronger, thinned out a little bit, and then, made sure that toe was completely healthy. So Kenny Clark, for all intents and purposes, was ready to go, and he will be a better run stuffer for the Dallas Cowboys. And he has the capability to get some push and put pressure on quarterbacks. He makes some guys around him better when he's healthy. So I don't want to discredit Kenny Clark, but don't act like you traded Kenny Clark for Micah Parsons and you got 2 number ones, so it was a much better deal. No.
Typically trades, you get a bunch of picks and then like a young ascending player, like where you're like, we want Edgerrin Cooper, or, right. Kenny Clark is on the base. So we're grading this on a curve. Obviously you're giving up a ton. It's just, the quality or the quantity of that ton that you're giving up. And I feel like the Packers did pretty well.
Yep. Yeah. No doubt. Let's go to Darren listening to us in Green Bay. Darren, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Hey, I'm doing great. First off, I want to just say happy National Victory over Japan Day. Thank you, all of your veterans out there, for serving our country. 2, the thing is with me, I was thinking when I first saw the schedule that this was a must-win game versus the Lions. I'm thinking the Packers organization was saying, we got to beat the NFC North when they were tired of getting punked. So they went and made the big swing. My hope is that Micah lives up to the hype. This injury, I'm kind of concerned about it. But my question is, we have the quote-unquote Reggie White. Who's our Gilbert Brown? Who's going to stop the run? Who's going to cover over the middle? That's where our weaknesses was. Have we addressed those things? I'll hang up and I'll take your answers. Thank you.
Okay, appreciate the phone call. I think Devontae Wyatt, who you just paid, and is an ascending talent. Carl Brooks, I don't know how he's going to pan out, what he's going to end up being, but Carl Brooks kind of slots into the nose tackle position at this point. So you're going to have Micah Parsons, Rashawn Gary, Devontae Wyatt, 3 stout guys that are going to be crashing, we'll say. I don't think you have a Gilbert Brown. I don't think, unless Devontae Wyatt, but Devontae Wyatt's not a 340-pound beast. He's a 300-pound strong man. Now, but what you do have is a guy that everybody believes is going to ascend in Edgerrin Cooper. And I had it put to, and this is from Isaiah, who writes, what if Edgerrin Cooper becomes a Brian Urlacher type of player? Then do you need as big a run stuffer up the middle? No. And if he becomes a Brian Urlacher, and I'm not saying he can't, I just don't want to do that. I don't think it's fair to say after one season, he's on his way to a gold jacket. Brian Urlacher is a hell of a player. Ray Lewis in the middle, hell of a player. Singletary, hell of a player. You start thinking about big-time middle linebackers over a period of time that are hell of a player. But I don't want to put Edgerrin Cooper into that mix yet. Is he going to be good? I believe he is. I believe he's got everything. He's got speed. He's got tenacity. Loves to run downhill and hit people. Can shed blocks off the offensive line. I think all of that. So if you've got a guy that's stout in Devontae Wyatt, an opposite edge rusher in Rashawn Gary, you've got a guy that can shoot the gap Still got Quay Walker coverage over the middle and Micah Parsons. I mean, the guy that could benefit the most from this would be Carl Brooks, because everybody else is going to draw attention and to a certain extent.
On the before we take our last break, on the topic of stopping the run, if Matt LaFleur, if I'm Brian Gutekunst and Jeff Hafley comes to me and says, we lost TJ Slayton and Kenny Clark, how am I supposed to stop the run? I say, hey, Jeff, everyone thinks you're supposed to be a head coach. You have Xavier McKinney, Edgerrin Cooper, and now Micah Parsons. You can figure it out, buddy.
Right.
Like, you can figure something out, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. If TJ Slayton is the reason that this team doesn't reach its goals this year, then Jeff Hafley's not the man that everyone's making him out to be. I think he can figure it out.
Right. I completely agree. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Go ahead and give us a shout. Hey, I also got to say thank you to our buddy Dwayne at Dwayne's Cover It All. He made a donation of $1,000 to a Big Unit Foundation, and he donated $1,000 to our friends from New York with the One Soldier, One Dog, One Team charity that was in town helping us this past weekend as well. So, man, put your money where your mouth is, and that's exactly what that's exactly what he did. Give it up for our friend at Dwayne's Cover It All, DUANES, Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com, and giving back to the community. And thanks so much for the donation. And we love Dwayne and Amy when they come down and we get a chance to spend some time with them. But whether you're looking for somebody with boat covers and awning out in front of your business, office furniture, I can go on and on. Whatever it happens to be, upholstery coverage or coverage in general, whether it's travel covers for boats and RVs, you name it, he can do it. Dwayne's, DUANES, Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. That is Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. Call him direct, 715-870-2119. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome. Bill Michaels Show. That fast. We got an hour down. Hour down. 3 more yet to go. Coming up in the next hour, we are going to hear from our buddy Chuck Freimund. Talk a little Brewers baseball. Boy, the umpiring was bad yesterday. They did not have a good day at the ballpark. That's damn straight. The umpire was not good. We'll talk some baseball. We're going to hear from Matt LaFleur. We're going to hear from Brian Gutekunst. At some point, we'll hear from our guy, Mike Clemens. As it was, we did see, by the way, for those who were concerned about the Micah Parsons back, he did practice. Just an FYI. Yesterday. So he was on the practice field in the number 1 jersey. So we're gonna see some Micah Parsons stuff. We'll talk about that coming up here in a little bit. No doubt. Mike Clemens, I'm sure, like I said, at some point is going to join us throughout the day, whatever his schedule allows in covering the Green Bay Packers. So we'll maybe hear from Mike. Anyway, that being said, we've got an hour down, 3 more yet to go. Oh, my goodness. Enjoying ourselves right now. It's a good day. It's a Tuesday. By the way, I did get to some people that said, hey, happy back to school day. The kids are gone. There you go. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers had leads of 4-0 and 5-1 yesterday, but could not hold them, falling to the Phillies 10-8 in a matchup of the two teams with the best records in the National League. Milwaukee scored 3 in the first, including a leadoff home run from Bryce Terang, but Philly scored 2 in the fifth, 3 in the sixth to take the lead. Brewers got some clutch hitting in the eighth to tie the game at 8, but Abner Uribe gave up a pair of runs in the ninth to lose it. Milwaukee dropped its second straight, leaving them 5.5 games up on the Cubs in the NL Central. It'll be the Phillies and Brewers again tomorrow night. First pitch is at 6:40. Turning to the Packers, they were on the field yesterday to start their prep for season opener against Detroit coming up on Sunday. The practice, the first for the newly acquired Micah Parsons. Quarterback Nate Hobbs says you could feel a difference in the Packers locker room with the addition.
Him going on any team is going to give him a little bit more juice because just what he brings to the table as a player and as an athlete, as a competitor.
Parsons reportedly dealing with a back injury, though the expectation is for him to play on Sunday when the team faces Detroit at Lambeau Field.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Get insurance from a company who knows Wisconsin and cares about your community. You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer, but did you know they also offer competitive home and auto rates? Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more about products and discounts.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Badgers back to work today to prep for their second game against Middle Tennessee State. Wisconsin coming off a 17-0 win over Miami of Ohio. Middle Tennessee State lost to an FCS opponent by 20 points. Status of Badgers quarterback Billy Edwards is up in the air after he went down with a knee injury in the opener. If he can't go, Danny O'Neill would be in his place. Kick on Saturdays at 3. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
It is Tuesday on the Bill Michaels Show. Beginning of our week. Happy back to school day for many of you. Great to have you on board. What a weekend it was. We'll talk about it. But, you've obviously got the Green Bay Packers getting ready for the Detroit Lions, the Badgers for Middle Tennessee State. Brewers, boy, they needed an off day. Today they're off. And I can only imagine that they are doing nothing but laying in bed. Just lay in bed, maybe walk around a little bit, I don't know, hang out, but that's about the extent of it. Just get some time at home for sure. So there you go. 877-867-1670. That's the phone number. If you want to call us, you can text us 608-321-1670, 608-321-1670. If you want to find us, watch us on YouTube, and you can watch us on YouTube for everything, for whether we just do some offshoot stuff, podcast stuff, whether we do the full show. And obviously, wherever we travel to, we're going to be live at Burkle Sports Bar and Grill up in Green Bay, right after the Green Bay Packers and Detroit Lions game this coming Sunday. We're back at Burkle's again this year. We are going to be live at Castaways coming up on Thursday night, a week from Thursday, when the Packers take on the Washington Commanders. We're going to be live in Tomahawk for the Tomahawk Fall Ride, and at Castaways this Friday. I forgot about this Friday to tell you. We are going to be live at Stenny's, 2nd and National Walker's Point. It is their 40th anniversary, and they're giving away a Harley-Davidson. They're giving away a Harley-Davidson this week. They got all kinds of stuff planned, a block party planned down there. But Stenny's, 2nd and National, come on down, enjoy some Bloody Marys, get some lunch, hang out with us. We're going to have the entire show down there on Friday as we go into the weekend, getting ready for, obviously, the Packers game. But we are excited to be down at Stenny's for their 40th anniversary party. We can't wait. Can't wait to get down there and say hello to everybody and hopefully see you come on in and say hello as well. So we're going to be there. But you can follow us, watch us each and every day. Absolutely free. Subscribe to us. Please subscribe on YouTube. Go to youtube.com. That's youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. You can find us on Twitter, on X, at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. You can find Grant at Wisco Grant, WISCO at Wisco Grant. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and at TikTok, also under the Bill Michaels Show. You can find us on the Twitch app, the Kick app, over on LinkedIn. You can find us and listen to us anywhere and everywhere on the app, which is Wisco Sports Zone. Wisco, WISCO, Wisco Sports Zone, just like Wisco Grant. You can find us via email, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. The website, simply thebillmichaels.com. You can also listen to us after the fact on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts. And we are a television show Saturday night, My 24 TV in Milwaukee, 8 o'clock Central Time, Saturday night, My 24 TV in Milwaukee. And if you are listening and you're out of that area, you can always go to my24milwaukee.com, my24milwaukee.com, and find the link and watch us there. Great stuff. Great stuff. Good to have everybody back. It was a great weekend for those that are just now joining us in many different affiliates all throughout the great state of Wisconsin. We raised, and I want to do this real quick. You know what? I'll tell you the total because I'm still waiting for one more number. But we raised, we broke our record for money raised this weekend, which is fantastic. So it's absolutely wonderful. And thanks to everybody that was there. We had less bikes this year. We were a few hundred bikes short of where we wanted to be, which is fine. I mean, we'd love to break records every year, but every year you can't do that. Hopefully we do, say, next year, right? But we broke our record for money. More people donated. More bikes came in with 2 people on them than, say, last year did, which is great because it means more money. And that's obviously what we're all there to do. And everything went so incredibly well. And I'll give you a full recap, not only on the show today at some point, but I'll go more in detail over on the social media platforms after the show today. So you can always see some stuff there. But we do say thank you to everybody that participated, all of you riders, all of you veterans, all of you who came down to support the cause, all of the volunteers that spent their time getting down there early, 6:30 a.m. on Sunday morning, helping to set up, helping to register, helping to stage bikes, helping to get everybody out of there safely. We say thanks, a huge amount of thanks to the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Department, the Milwaukee Police Department. They did a fantastic job. To our friends in the Brookfield Police Department, Town of Brookfield Police Department, Waukesha Sheriff's Department, also our friends from Oconomowoc Police Department. I mean, it was fantastic. And then there's Smoke on the Water and Stoles on 1 and 9. I can go on and on. Joe Mamas and our friends at Suburban Harley Davidson knocked it out of the park. So thanks to everybody. We certainly appreciate it. So all of that being said, the anticipation for Michael. Let me ask you this, Grant. Do you start off the season when the Packers do their introductions coming out of the tunnel on Sunday? Do you introduce the offense or do you introduce the defense? I think you got to introduce the defense and let Micah Parsons come out last, right?
Yeah, have his moment. I would think so, yeah.
I would think. I mean, is he now the face of your team?
That's a good question. I still think it's Jordan Love. certainly becomes the face of that defense.
Right.
Just because, I think he's their best player on defense. He's got to be their best player on defense for what they just traded for him.
Right.
But the fact that he's brought in with all this pomp and circumstance, like Mike joined me last week, and you talked about this too. They don't just throw random press conferences for players they bring into town.
Right.
Like what they did Friday night, it's not unprecedented. There's just very little precedent. It's only the biggest moves and the best players in Packers history they do stuff like that for.
I think on this team, let's go through this here real quick. And let's do this real quick because I know we got all kinds of stuff coming up, but this is something I was thinking about during the break. How many legitimately potential Pro Bowlers or all pro do you now have on this team? Now think about that. And I'm going to go through my list. I don't know if he'll make it this year, but I know he's going to make it. I think Matthew Golden is on his way. I think Josh Jacobs is there. I think Jordan Love has that potential. I think Elton Jenkins can be that guy. That's 4 on offense. I think Edgerrin Cooper can be that guy. Micah Parsons, certainly that guy. Xavier McKinney's that guy. That's 3 on defense that I think that have that level of potential.
And at different levels of the defense, like we talked about Friday, too. They're top to bottom, right, from the front to the linebackers to the defensive backfield.
I think another guy that could be a dark horse would be Devontae Wyatt. I think the dark horse could be Devontae Wyatt.
You seem like you're expecting pretty big. Look, I think Devontae Wyatt is like a guy that has been asked to hit like 2nd or 3rd, and now he's hitting 6th in the lineup, right? To use a baseball analogy, which sets up really well for him. I just don't know what to expect. It seems like you expect a good deal from him.
Right. I mean, I do. I do expect a big jump from him. But I think they have a potential to have maybe 6, possibly 7 players be all Pro Bowlers on this team that have that legitimate. I'm not like reaching. I just think there's a legitimacy there for those guys. And let's just say they hit. Cooper jumps off the page. Devontae Wyatt ascends. Obviously, Micah Parsons, Xavier McKinney. Your defense is markedly better. Jordan Love has the season that a lot of us are expecting him to have. Josh Jacobs does as well. You may even throw Tucker Kraft in there. I don't think he would be that guy because there's some other tight ends that are ahead of him, we'll say, that get a lot of recognition, but he's that guy. Elton Jenkins has been a Pro Bowl player. Now does he do it at the center position? Anchoring an offensive line, and then Matthew Golden, who's just got all the ability in the world to ascend. That's putting a team together. And then, Chuck, don't forget about McManus because he's just crazy good. So I think there's some opportunities there. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, please feel free to go ahead and do so. 877-1670. Chris says, don't forget the Cowboys had 7 Pro Bowlers, including Parsons in 2023, and they didn't get very far. It's kind of a crapshoot. I agree with that. He's 100% correct. I agree with that. I think a lot of that goes on Dak Prescott's shoulders for the way he's played in the postseason. You can't turn the ball over in the postseason. You just can't do it because you're playing teams of equal or better attributes than you. And you can't give them extra shots. Even better, and sorry to interrupt, stop playing so badly that you're not giving the rest of your team a chance.
Yes. Like that's what he's done.
Right.
If you're not going to play as good as Patrick Mahomes, that's fine. But like he's been so bad in some moments where the game almost like it's not competitive. So what do you want his teammates to do? The game's over because he's thrown 2 picks and they're down 3 scores at halftime.
Now, over the weekend, I mean, that was the talk. Everywhere you went, everybody asked about Michael Parsons. And what I said was, it gives them a better shot. It really hedges your bets. It doesn't guarantee anything. I'm not sitting here saying this is a guaranteed Super Bowl team. What I'm saying is this team is now going to find themselves in the postseason, and I believe they are better equipped to handle the postseason. Well, I mean, what happens after that? It happens after that. But I've never wanted to say, oh, there you go, put their name on the Lombardi Trophy. I don't care if they end up trading for T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, bringing that duo wide receivers in. Next thing you know, Cam Hayward's coming over from Pittsburgh to anchor the middle, and you start going through that whole list. That still doesn't guarantee you anything. You got to be good. You got to be lucky. You got to be healthy. You got to be hot. Those are the 4 things, the 4 keys that put you into a championship. And if one of those things go wrong, you're not winning a championship. So it's as much about gathering talent and then the stars aligning as it is for your ability to actually get there. It doesn't guarantee you anything. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Give us a shout. Steve says, first of all, congrats on the addition. For those that weren't listening in the first hour, the biggest news of the weekend was Brennan Michaels is now here, my grandson. So my son gave me a shout over the weekend and said they were going to try to induce her into labor. It didn't happen the way they'd hoped, so they had to go get him. And they did yesterday afternoon, which was absolutely fantastic. So Brennan Michaels is now, September 1st is his birthday, is now in this world, which was absolutely awesome. Then he said, that's fan-dab-tabulous. Thank you very much. There you go. Also, he says, let's see here. This was from Michael. He said, I'm not asking you to be a doctor, but what do you think hampers a defensive lineman more, a hurt toe or a hurt back that needs an injection to play? I don't know if you can take one over the other. I think they both can hinder you, depending on the severity, I guess. Knowing what we know now about Kenny Clark's toe, that hindered him. That bad. But seeing that, because Kenny, remember, he would sit out a couple of days of practice a week because they wanted that toe to rest up. He'd just do walkthroughs and stuff and then just come in and be there on Sundays. But that's a great question. I've never played with that. I don't know. I know both can be debilitating. I know what it's like to have a busted up toe and try to walk around. I know what it's like to have a bad back. I might say bad back. Only for the reason, like the back, depending on what it is and what pain you're having. We've all been there where you move a weird way and suddenly something just tightens up. And it hurts to sit, or it hurts to lay down, or it hurts to move. It hurts to bend over and pick something up. It hurts to reach for something. I don't know. That's a great question. I think they can both be debilitating. I don't think you can choose one over the other, to be perfectly honest with you. All right, let's do this. We're going to step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back, and we got a lot more to get to. Don't forget, bottom of the hour, we got our buddy Chuck Freimund. Got to talk some Brewers baseball. Brewers finally get an off day. They get a chance to breathe a little bit. Bullpen needs it. They need a big time. And the bats haven't been silent. The defense hasn't been, although they had some uncharacteristic play on Sunday, but the defense has not been overwhelmingly terrible. But the bullpen has been getting beat up, and the starting pitching is getting beat up a little bit. But again, when you have good starting pitching, it is not going to keep a losing streak sustainable. It usually bounces you back, which is the reason I believe that the Brewers are going to be just fine. Brewers 5.5 games up. They've lost a game, from where they were the day that I proclaimed them, which was 6.5 games. From that day forward, the Cubs have gained a game. Now, the Brewers have pushed that lead to 9 at one point, and then it came falling back. But from that day forward, it has been a seesaw back and forth to the point that the Cubs have gained exactly 1 game. That's the reason I feel so incredibly confident. So, got to say thanks to our friends Michael and Melissa from Dream Vacations. My God, not only did they volunteer at both the beginning and the end of the motorcycle ride, but they made donations, and they just they kind of just took over the card dealing at the end of the ride. They were so instrumental in working with everybody when it comes to registration and check-in, and they offered up some packages for us. They want to work with us on doing more in regards to raising money for Big Unit Foundation. Just such great people. Thanks to Michael and Melissa from Dream Vacations. And if you're looking for a resort or a cruise, or maybe you want to follow the Packers because this season now really, really excites you, especially if you're heading down to Dallas, let Michael and Melissa help you plan and book your next amazing getaway. Call them direct right here in the state of Wisconsin, 414-208-4221, 414-208-4221. Again, 414-208-4221.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Thanks to our friends at German Fest. They stepped up big time and helped us support our friends from the police departments, Milwaukee County Sheriff's Department and Milwaukee Police Department, and also the sponsorship of the band, which was Six Pack Sammy this past weekend. German Fest putting their money where their mouth is in the community. Go to GermanFest.com. Next year, July 25th, 26th, and 27th, that is German Fest. the big house party on the lakefront in Milwaukee next year for 2026, July 25th, 26th, and 27th. For all the information, ticketing, and everything, go to GermanFest.com. That is GermanFest.com. GermanFest.com. There you go. I'll tell you this, the Brewers over the weekend, we're going to talk at the bottom of the hour with our friend Chuck Freimund from Locked On Brewers podcast. The Brewers over the weekend, it wasn't great, but winning 2 out of 3 in Toronto I thought was huge. Toronto's a good baseball team. Toronto right now sitting there atop that American League East, 79-59 on the season. They're only 1 game behind Detroit for the best record in the American League. And when you still look at the overall win totals, the Brewers by 5 games have the best record in all of Major League Baseball. The Tigers have 80 wins. The Phillies have 80 wins. Phillies, good team. Phillies has taken over the top spot in the American or the National League East. Bryce Harper, obviously coming back, has been a huge proponent for that team to make that push. 6 games over the Mets right now. A good team that showed it yesterday in the ability to come back. When you make mistakes via pitching, they're going to capitalize on it. Right now, they are tied with the Dodgers when it comes to run differential for 3rd right now in the National League. The Brewers, obviously number 1 at plus 161 in run differential. The Chicago Cubs plus 118. And then at plus 101 is the Phillies and the Dodgers. Those are the only teams with triple digits at this point. As a matter of fact, the Yankees in 2nd place behind the Blue Jays, 2.5 games back, are at plus 134, which is still runs behind the Milwaukee Brewers, and the Boston Red Sox at plus 104. They're also 2. Don't look now, but the Boston Red Sox have played some pretty good baseball in the second half of this season. Some pretty good baseball, and they have climbed up there in the American League East as well. They were just hanging around, and all of a sudden you look, and there's both New York and Boston right now in the rearview mirror of the Toronto Blue Jays. So for the Brewers to go in to the American League East and beat the Blue Jays 2 out of 3 over the weekend, that was big. You lost on Sunday and you lost yesterday. So you lost 2 in a row, and all of a sudden the sky is falling, and they've only won 4 out of 6 of their last 10 ball games. It hasn't been the juggernaut that the pace that the Brewers were on, but still the Brewers are playing good baseball. You don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So I'm still believing, look, they haven't played perfect ever since they took after they beat the Cubs 7-0 in that opener. After that, it has been less than 500 baseball on this long stretch of games: Chicago, San Francisco, Arizona, Toronto, and then obviously starting the game yesterday against Philadelphia. And yeah, their pitching hasn't necessarily been great, but they haven't lost more than 3 in a row. They haven't had some kind of an extended losing streak. What you would like to see is just throw in a couple more wins. You would have liked to have beaten Chicago 1 more. I get it. You would have liked to have won the series against San Francisco. You split with Arizona. You won the series against Toronto. You still have the opportunity to win the series with Philadelphia. Then you get Pittsburgh. Then you got to go on the road. You got Pittsburgh and Texas. Then you come back home and you start, kind of making that stretch run. But I'm not concerned at all. Are you concerned right now with this stretch of losses, we'll say, Grant, out of the Brewers?
I'm concerned about their pitching. I don't know that it's holding up the way that it needs to.
Yeah.
They could get a day off, and maybe McGill comes back and he's awesome. And, I'm just concerned that they've been used too much. The starters aren't getting deep enough into games. Thank God for what Freddie Peralta did in that Toronto series.
Right.
Their starters are going 4 and 5 instead of 5 and 6. And they don't have any days off, and their bullpen's getting worn down to a nub.
Right.
And we're seeing that manifest with guys who can't get swings and misses, and they're getting hurt.
Yeah.
And I just don't know that that's something that you can resolve without extended time off, and that's something that they don't have, and they won't have until the season's done.
Yeah, there's 6 wins in their last 15 ball games. After coming off of such an incredible run where they were just, obviously the 14 in a row. They won 14 out of 15 if you go back to, the Chicago or the Cincinnati loss and then the Chicago win. So they won 14 or 15 out of 16. And then since then, they've lost 9 out of their last 15. But again, not panicking at all, not by any stretch. People keep saying, well, look at the Cubs schedule. Okay, I'm fine with that. Everybody thought it was going to be such a catastrophe going into Toronto, the team that's leading the AL East. They won 2 out of 3 there. You just win series. That's all you need to do is win series. You know, you're going to lose one along the way. We get it. One or two, but just keep winning series and you're going to be just fine. Going to be just fine. And then hopefully, like you had mentioned, you get a couple of good outings out of some of their starting pitchers. This is where the conservation of innings for Brandon Woodruff, the conservation of innings for Mizorowski becomes somewhat concerning because you're burning up that bullpen in order to do so.
I would also feel better about him if Brandon Woodruff was pitching awesome and they pulled him early, or Mizorowski was pitching incredible and they pulled him early. That hasn't really been the case. Right. They just haven't. They're not going short into starts because the Brewers are pulling them. They just can't get it done. Miz set himself up so well yesterday for 6 innings. His pitch count was low, and then he just got into trouble. He has that 1 inning and he can't recover. And now, especially with Shelby Miller getting hurt yesterday, like they're just going to start to run out of arms, and the arms that they have will be worked harder and be more fatigued. Yeah,
Uribe taking a loss yesterday, wasn't able to close it out. Woodruff not having a great outing the other day, but then Ashby got the win. Peralta got the win prior to that. Quintana did not look good. Correct me if I'm wrong, at the end of that Arizona series. And then Fetty coming up, and he ended up, losing a decent game. He pitched a decent game. They lost 3-2. But the sky is not falling. I'm not worried.
There's parts of their offense that I'm really liking. Churio's back and looks like he hasn't missed a step. Terang looks like one of the best second basemen in baseball right now. Like he could be hitting third or fourth.
And Joey Ortiz back and look really, really good. So
hopefully that was a good reset for him. That's my hope, at least.
And don't forget, when he went down, he was hitting probably the best he's had in the majors before he went down and had another base knock yesterday. So I feel good about where they're at. They just got to get some time off, a couple of decent outings, and let their pitching just kind of do its thing. And you talk about a team. Here's the thing. If this team gets rest and rests that bullpen, if they get that bye as the top dog in the National League, that'll be huge for this team.
That's a good point.
That'll be huge. That's what you're striving for. That's the reason you keep one of stacking wins, not just to win the division, but if you still end up with the best record in the National League, you're up by 5 games right now. If you end up with that best record of the National League, then that is huge, because then you give that entire bullpen a rest and you can just kind of reset everything. All right, let's do this. We're going to step away. We're going to come back. Our buddy Chuck Freimund is going to join us from the Locked On Brewers podcast, and we'll talk with him about this team losing 9 of their last 15. And is he panicking? Is he feeling a little bit nervous right now? This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at The Water Doctors, H2, the letter O, doctors.com. Had some nice compliments from our friends over here from the One Soldier, One Dog, One Team, all the New Yorkers that stayed in my house. They loved the water, and they talked about they put water softeners all over, whether it's their home in Florida or their homes up in Jersey. The other one, the 2 of them over in Long Island, and they said, we need soft water. And they said, boy, this is a really good system. And they loved using the reverse osmosis. I wish they were here to tell you about it, but that was kind of the weekend. We were talking about it yesterday when we were cleaning up some dishes around here. We ended up just sitting around on the tiki bar in the patio yesterday having dinner. And they were talking about the water not leaving spots, tasting good, all that kind of good stuff, and how they felt showering at my house, which they said they always, kind of wonder about when you travel. It's good stuff. It's one of the best. It's the best system I have ever had. The best system I've ever had. The Connecticut water softening system from my friends at the Water Doctors. Call them direct anywhere in the state of Wisconsin. 262-549-7733. 262-549-7733. That is the Water Doctors. Again, 262-549-7733. We'll be back with Chuck Freimund talking Brewers next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Phil Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You know, umpires have a hard job. They have a hard job. What I don't like is when they're definitive that they got it right, and then I see what I see after the game, and you can see the barrel's out in front of his front leg. Tell me how the barrel can be in front of his front leg at any moment and it not be a swing. So I'm not, again, that's a tough call from the angle he's at. He does the best he can, and that's all I can say.
Murph saw it. He knew it. The crowd knew it. We saw it on TV. We knew it. The person that missed it, the umpire. That's the call that Murph ended up getting ejected on. Bring him in now from the Locked On Brewers podcast. Our guy, Chuck Freimund, now joining us. Chuck, the crew has lost 9 of their last 15. Are you getting concerned at all with some of the things that have gone on via the pitching staff? Or are you just like, they just need to get a little bit of a break, a rest, so to speak?
Yeah, today, this break came as a welcome for this team that had played 19 games in 18 days. And that's not to make excuses for them, but it is what it is, especially this time of the year, late in the year. And you get into late August, it's the dog days of baseball where you are dragging. And these guys and their bullpen needs to be reset. But there was going to be some regression, I thought, Bill, when that 14-game winning, since that 14-game winning streak, since Monasterio hit that Saturday night home run against Cincinnati, the Brewers have gone 7-10. Mm-hmm. Not horrible, not great, but they weren't going to completely play 800 and 900% baseball and do that. And I feel like with some Brewers fans, they feel like the earth is coming down. No, they're still fine. They're great. Right. They're 30-plus games over the 500 mark. Everybody goes through these things, and it's not like they've lost 15 of 18. They're 7-10 over 17 games after a 14-game winning streak. They'll be fine. They're going to be all right. And you look at these games they're losing, Bill. It's not like they're dragging through. They are. How many of these games are coming right down to the end? The games they're losing, they're coming right down to the end. They're coming right down to the end. This team is putting up a heck of a fight. And you know me, Bill, I am not going to sugarcoat anything, but, man, this team is a fighting group of guys, man. Yeah. There's a lot to play for.
Do you have concerns about Mizorowski being figured out and only having 2 pitches?
No, and they're going to keep him in the starting rotation. My concern with him comes in the postseason. Mm-hmm. How is he going to be then? Last night in the locker room, he was like, well, this is baseball. He runs into a wall on occasion. And a little bit what you're saying there. But I think that happens with whether you're a pitcher or a hitter. There's other teams that figure you out. There's more videotape on you, more tape, and the analytics on, the analytics guys on both teams and coaches, they scout these guys and they know what's coming and what's not coming. So he's got to do a readjustment. But, it happened so good, so fast with him, that with him too, that there was going to be some adjustments by other teams, by opponents.
The Woodruff, he has not had a ton of success in his last few outings. He was just smoking for a while. I think he started off like 6-0. The team did when he was throwing, and he's kind of also, I don't want to say been figured out, but cooled off a little bit. His velocity's not down. I look at it as, hitters have got a little bit more of a scouting report on them, but he's still throwing the ball well. He starts out throwing the ball 92, 93, and then all of a sudden by the end of his stint, he's throwing it 94, 95, 96. But I like that. I still like these guys in there. I still like the rotation, I guess is the bottom line, what I'm trying to say.
Oh, it is. The rotation's among the best in baseball. There's no doubt about it. And you look at, with Priester and some of these other guys, they've been really, really good all year.
Right.
And Woodruff had a tough outing. Greg Maddux would have a tough outing once in a while. I'm not comparing him to Maddux. And certainly, again, not making excuses for these guys. But, yeah. And the other night, he had some loop singles, and the defense wasn't great behind him as well. And that needed to happen. The Brewers still are one of those teams that have to play. The margin of error is not big with these guys, so they still have to play fundamentally sound baseball. They got to make all the plays. They got to do all the things correctly. That's how they've got the 30 wins. And you saw in the dugout the other day, Bill, how Murphy on Sunday got ticked off at Monasterio for his break of home. And Murphy coaches these guys, manages these guys like it's a college team. Mm-hmm. And he was upset about that. It's just because this team has gotten 30 games over the 500 mark, and I'm not saying they have. He doesn't want this team getting fat and sassy and, taking things for granted. He is staying on top of them. And he has talked about that. He has said, just because we are where we are doesn't mean we have to give up. We got to still keep on plugging ahead. There's a lot of games left of the season. We can't give up the intensity.
Well, I mean, he was that way after the game coming out of Toronto and said that was not acceptable baseball. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah. And he's got to. He's staying on these guys like a college coach. This team is coached like a college coach. Now, we'll see how that works out in a few years. But he's the right guy for this team because he coaches them like he's coaching Arizona State or Notre Dame, chewing out guys in the dugout. And what other baseball team have you seen a manager chew out guys in the dugout? He benched guys earlier in this year. That's his way of going about business, and that is working with this team.
The Brewers, if they play 500, they're going to win the division. To me, and we were talking about this before we brought you on, probably the team that needs the most of the bye would be the Milwaukee Brewers. They're 5 games up right now when it comes to being the best record in the National League, or best record in baseball for that matter. But they're 5 games up on that. It's no longer about winning the division. To me, I think it's the race to get that bye and to be able to just give everybody a rest, including not only your starters, but obviously your bullpen at this point, right?
Yeah, and the team that's chasing them in second place in the National League is the Philadelphia Phillies. Yep. So these are 2 huge games coming up Wednesday and Thursday against these guys. But yeah, you've been the top team in baseball for most of the summer, and you got to close it out here in September. You can't blow this 5 game lead down the stretch here. And another thing with Philadelphia, that you got to get the tiebreaker against these guys. And if Philly wins these next 2 games, the tiebreaker is even. But the tiebreaker is head-to-head. Get the tiebreaker against them. So should you even tie with these guys, I don't even want to think about that, but you'd have the tie-breaking edge against these games. No longer is there a game 163. Remember how in that 2018, Bill, we played that 163 down in Wrigley Field? They're not doing that anymore. Now they're just going to a tiebreaker.
You brought up a good point, is down the stretch, you can't let it all fall apart. You've been the best team in baseball all summer. Is this, even though they've got 9 losses in their last 15 games, the stretch run starting tomorrow, is this kind of this, let's see what metal you're made of? You climbed out of the hole that you kind of dug for yourself early on this season. You climbed out of that magnificently. Is this a gut check for the Brewers, not just to get to the postseason, but to get there with that best record in baseball, but more so, let's see what you got as you head into the postseason over the next 27 days?
Oh, yeah, you got to go in playing strong. And obviously, you got to be playing your best baseball in October, which the Brewers have not done in recent years after a great regular season. The Brewers need to finish this thing out, at least win a playoff series. And I know I want more than that, but you cannot, again, just let down. First of all, you got to get that 1 or 2 seed, but you cannot bust out in the first round of the playoffs, whether it be the wild card round or the divisional series. You got to finish this things out because it's happened too often where we get our hopes up and all of a sudden, 2 days into the postseason, after playing 162, here we are watching everybody else, and another playoff series comes to an end at home.
Right.
But yeah, they got to finish these final 20 some odd games out, get go better than 500, and play and continue to play good solid baseball. Don't let your guard down. I mean, they played such just amazing baseball over the summer, just amazing baseball. I can't overemphasize that, but it's tough to play at that level against other major league teams.
McGill obviously on the IL for a little while, and that's somewhat concerning, but you're hoping that it was just more the time and the rest will help him. Obviously, are you a little bit worried about Mears getting beat up?
Yeah, a lot of these guys in the bullpen, Bill, I think is just so taxed and all that. There's a few guys out there, and that's the problem. I mean, you got guys, and they're going to try to bring Robert Gasser back into some relief role, coming off the Tommy John surgery. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Mears and all these guys, they're stacking up a lot of innings, and not only this summer, but from what happened in the spring. In the spring, Bill, we were talking about how they're getting 5 inning starts from some of these guys, maybe less. Well, it's starting to add up right now. They're starting to pay the piper on that. You're getting those, get those 4 or 5 inning starts. Well, the bullpen's got to pick up the slack there. So they need to, they got to get some longer starts, and they got to reset that bullpen.
Positive moves, though, but when you talk about Churio coming back and really hitting the baseball, Joey Ortiz was hitting the ball extremely well until he went down. Then when he comes back, he gets another base knock again yesterday. He's looked good. Defensively, they're back to being pretty strong behind that pitching staff. I mean, while there are some negatives, and it does revolve around pitching, some of the positives are some of these guys, obviously Joey Ortiz and Jackson Churio, coming back.
Sure, and you hate to sit down Monasterio because he's been fantastic at the plate. Look how big he's been.
Right.
But that's where this team is. This team is so stacked. When can you ever say that about the Milwaukee Brewers? But they're getting Ortiz back, who was playing well before he got hurt, before that hamstring. He was playing well, and and he's going to bring that Gold Glove defense. But Monasterio, what a credit to that guy. He's been a big part of this August success for the Brewers, especially what Ortiz has done. Been on the injured list. He hit that home run, that 3-run shot off the bench, and hit a home run last Friday night to get the ball rolling against Toronto in a scoreless game. So Monasterio, how huge has he been?
The only concern that I have when it comes to the offensive side of the baseball is Vaughn has cooled off. He's only hitting 192 over his last couple of weeks. And we haven't seen the power that we also saw early on, too. Do you think it's just, again, teams figuring him out after the first 3-4 weeks being with the Brewers? Or is it just, I want to attribute it to hey, a little bit of baseball. He went off really hot. Now he's in a little bit of a funk. He'll come bouncing back. You want to believe that and have hope as a Brewers fan. But, the last 2 weeks, he has not been that guy.
Yeah, he was hitting like upper 380s in his first 2 weeks of the season, and he was hitting home runs like every other day and all that. I was like, man, he's been unreal. But yeah, he's regressed a little bit, and like some of that, like you said, they're in the pitching staffs are probably figuring him out a little bit, and he's going to be fine. He is going to be fine. The guy's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of ability, and Rhys Hoskins is coming back. If he slumps, if he continues to slump, maybe Rhys gets some at-bats there. Now, Rhys is not – you have until September 9th to make a decision on Rhys Hoskins. He's ready to go. But the Brewers right now are riding out Vaughn, the right-handed stick at first base, and Bowers, the left-handed stick coming off the bench. So Murphy has said there's no room for Hoskins right now, but you have about a week here to make a decision on him. But it's odd that you can't find a spot for Hoskins because you have other guys you think are better producers than him at this point.
You look at Vaughn, and he hit 365 in July. He hit then 250 in August, which might be more of what his real statistics will be because he got off to such an incredibly hot start. But like I said, over the last 2 weeks, it's been 198. So you maybe he comes in like a ball of fire, goes really well, and now they're starting to figuring him out and cool off a little bit. So put it this way. If he continues to struggle at the plate, do you then say it's time to bring Hoskins back?
Well, it could be. I think they look at Vaughn as their future at first base.
Right.
Hoskins is not going to be on the team next year. He's not going to be. He's not going to be on the team next year. But Vaughn is. Vaughn's going to be. They look at Vaughn as potentially, the starting first baseman for years to come. Number one, he's got talent, and two, he's under team control. Nice little contract there. So they look at him kind of like that way. But I think, I think Hoskins, if they find, they'll make a decision on him. I don't think they'll release him, but they will. They'll again. They have the September 9th. And you got a week now to make a decision on him. And I think he'll eventually find his name in the lineup, and he could be playing some first base. But I still think they're going to ride out Hoskins a little. They're going to ride out Vaughn a little bit longer.
Chuck, where do they find you, man?
Bill, Locked On Brewers. You get it on Google, Spotify, Apple, on all the platforms out there for downloading your podcast. We're the #1 Brewers podcast on the internet, and of course, we're on YouTube, our growing YouTube page. Search Locked On Brewers on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. I'll alert you every time we drop an episode on Locked On Brewers. I was getting breakfast in Mayville on Sunday morning. Guy told me, he goes, Chuck, you're on the Bill Michaels show, aren't you? I said, you bet. Tuesdays at 11:35, every Tuesday with my man Bill Michaels. So I can't remember the guy's name, but he listens to you every day out of Mayville.
That is awesome. Shout out to Mayville. Hell yeah. Chuck, we'll talk to you again next week, pal. Appreciate it.
You got it, Bill.
There you go. Chuck Freimund joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline. Great stuff. And the hotline, by the way, brought to you by our friend at Schneider's. Schneider, the big orange hotline. Hell yeah. Schneider Orange Hotline. If you're looking for a job, if you're looking for a CDL, if you're looking for help, if you're looking to be at home, if you're looking for somebody that wants to work with you, that is Schneider. Go to 1-800-44-PRIDE, 800-44-PRIDE, or go to SchneiderJobs.com. That's 800-44-PRIDE, or go to SchneiderJobs.com. They bring you the big orange hotline. More of the Bill Michaels Show is next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Oh my goodness. We had a spectacular dinner on Saturday night. There was 14 of us.
And an amazing dinner down at San Giorgio and Calderon Club specifically. We were there on a Friday night and saw Joe Martino, our good friend from Point Brewing, who actually sent over a couple of bottles of wine, which was spectacular. But had a couple of our board members there, some friends of ours, Dwayne and Amy were there. We had our friends from the One Soldier, One Dog, One Team were there. Our buddy Justin, he was not sitting at the table with us, but he had brought some friends from South Dakota for the motorcycle ride. They were down there. So it was just a really great gathering. It was a big birthday party in there on Friday night or Saturday night. We had such a fun time down at Calderon Club. Oh, such a great time. The food was fantastic. And they raved about it. And coming from my buddy Rich, who lives over in Long Island in New York, he said, look, we know. He said, there's my mom, my wife, and Calderon Club. And he said, I kid you not. And he is a food fanatic. He said, this is the best Italian food. He said, look, we got great Italian restaurants in New York. This is the best Italian food, just the sauce alone. It was the best Italian food he said he's had. And I'm not lying. Maybe I'll call him up and get him on the air one day. But he said it's the best. So if you're looking for a great Italian restaurant, that is Calderon Club, 838 Old World 3rd Street, downtown Milwaukee. The best, which is now certified by our friends from New York. So fantastic. And Gino and his staff and Alex and everybody did such a wonderful, wonderful job making everybody feel just like, they're at home, which is great.
When you were talking about them noticing your water and your softening system at home, all I could think back in the studio saying, yeah, Bill, this water. Yeah, this water is the best, Bill. That's all I could hear. So I would imagine it's the same at the Calderon Club.
I kid you not. As they sat there and told stories, and everybody, this guy, Jimmy from over here, from the Public Service Department, this. And I was looking at Dwayne, who was sitting across from me, and I just looked at him, and Dwayne's just got this blank look on his face. And I said, you okay? And he said, I'm just listening.
Yeah.
They're telling this story. I kid you not. They're telling, and I don't have time for it. I'll tell you the story coming back. But they start telling all these different stories, and they all know everybody. This guy that worked in the public works department, this guy was in the police department, this guy was in the fire department, this guy was an electrician, this guy did that, and remember this, and Johnny Salvo over here, and this, and it was hilarity. It's just, you just kept laughing the entire night about all these stories they were telling everybody. It was crazy. We had such a great time. 2 hours down, 2 hours yet to go. We are going to hear from Matt LaFleur, the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. Coming up, don't go anywhere. We got another 2 hours of the Bill Michaels Show yet to go right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers are getting a day off for the first time in nearly 3 weeks. Milwaukee just finished playing 19 games over the last 18 days, including a 10-8 loss to the Phillies yesterday that saw them unable to hold leads of 4-0 and 5-1. Pitcher Jacob Wieserowski admitted today is much needed.
Everyone needs it. I think it's just, it's a grind going through these, 19 games, right? Something like that. So it's, it's a long stretch, and, everyone's going to enjoy the off day.
Despite back-to-back losses, Milwaukee's lead in the NL Central stands at 5.5 games on the Cubs with 23 to play. They are also 4.5 games up on the Phillies for the best record in the National League. Wieserowski looking forward to the final few weeks.
Yeah, I think we're in a good spot. We're hitting, but I think it's going to be fun to watch, and in the locker room, it's going to be a lot of fun being in here.
Again, Brewers are off today. They'll be back on the field tomorrow night against the Phillies at American Family Field.
For nearly 40 years, ABC Wisconsin Apprenticeship has been helping men and women transform themselves into highly skilled trade professionals. These skills are in demand and provide strong wages and benefits for a bright future. If you're a hands-on person who likes the feeling when you get projects done, apprenticeship could be for you. Go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Well, the Packers are into their normal week routine, which means a day off today. Back on the field for practice tomorrow as they prep for Sunday's season opener against Detroit. Green Bay expected to have new addition Micah Parsons available against the Lions, though he is dealing with a sprained back. Reports surfaced yesterday that he may need a shot to be able to play. And Wisconsin also gearing up for its second game as they will take on Middle Tennessee State on Saturday at Camp Randall. Badgers favored by 28.5. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
We are back! Past the halfway point. The Bill Michaels Show. Love it. Love it. Today, good day today. Tuesday edition. Sunshine. Got nice yesterday. Warm outside. Today, back to school day for many. if you're not back to school already. It looks like everybody's back now. So for you parents, congratulations. Breathe a little bit. Breathe a little bit. If you want to get a hold of us, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You can track us down. You can find us via text message, 608-321-1670, 608-321-1670. Go to youtube.com, youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. 3 words, put them all together. It's free. Free to subscribe, but please subscribe to us. Every time we come on, it'll pop up. If you want to watch us, great. If not, swipe us off to the side. We're good to go. Good to go. But at least then you can see where we're at. You can watch the show. You can become informed, or you can disagree with us, whatever it happens to be. But nevertheless, youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. You can find us on Twitter, on X, at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. You can find Grant at Wisco Grant, WISCO, at Wisco Grant. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok under The Bill Michaels Show, the Twitch app, the Kick app, LinkedIn as well, same thing. TheBillMichaels@gmail.com is our email address, TheBillMichaels@gmail.com. The website, simply TheBillMichaels.com. Our app is Wisco Sports Zone. Wisco Sports Zone. Plus, you can find us after the fact on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts as well. And we are a television show Saturday night, 8 o'clock Central Time in Milwaukee. And it's My24 TV. My24 TV. We cannot wait for this Friday. We're going to be down at Stenny's live. The whole weekend's going to be fantastic. We are live at Stenny's for their 40th anniversary party coming up this Friday. So we kind of kick things off. Then they have the anniversary party. They're giving away a Harley Davidson. They've got a watch party going on if you're not going to the Packers game, which, by the way, they are running shuttles to the Packers game. So if you're looking for a ride, there you go. Let them do the driving. So on Friday, we're going to be at Stenny's. Sunday, we are going to be live at Burkle's. We cannot wait to be back at Burkle's this year. Love Burkle's. Yes, cannot wait to be back at Burkle's again this year for the Green and Gold postgame show. So everybody come on over and hang out with us. Even if you don't go to the game, come on over after the fact and check out the postgame show. Join us there. And then next Thursday, after when the Packers take on the Commanders at Lambeau Field, we're going to be up north. The beautiful God's country of Northwoods, Tomahawk, Wisconsin. We're going to be up there. The Tomahawk Fall Ride and the Green and Gold postgame show will emanate live from Castaways Bar and Grill in Tomahawk. That is our rundown. It's exciting. We can't wait. So much going on. So much good stuff happening. Let's do this. Matt LaFleur speaking to the media. Let's take a listen to what the head coach of the Green Bay Packers has to say.
Isn't it holiday weekend, Rob? Shouldn't you be out at a basketball or a football game or something? All right.
So you seem to be in a good mood.
I'm always in a great mood, all right?
Not always. What does this mean to your team? What does this mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, what a rare opportunity to get a guy of his caliber. Now, I will say, for me, it's extremely bittersweet because Kenny Clark, since the day I was here or got hired here, I want to say I think he's the last guy that was on the roster when I was hired. Now I know we drafted Elton and Rashawn, but I'm really thankful for our time together because he is a pro's pro. Obviously, a great player. And as great of a player as he is, I believe he's an even better person. And I think you guys probably feel the same way in terms of just he is going to treat everybody with the utmost respect. And he is revered in that locker room. And so it is bittersweet when you lose a player, not only of that caliber, but just the type of leader he was for a locker room. But at the same time, certainly, you know, like I said, it's just rare that you get an opportunity to get a guy like a Micah Parsons.
Mike is really talented. He's also really versatile. There's a lot of things he does very well. What's the best in terms of maximize that talent and versatility?
That's a heck of a question. I think obviously, I don't think there's much that he can't do. It's just how do you get him acclimated to what we're doing, and then you can kind of let the creativity come out. I think I got a lot of confidence in Half and our defensive staff that we'll be able to put him in positions to maximize not only his ability, but everybody around him. I just know from having a game plan against him, that is something that keeps you up at night when you're going against a player of his caliber. And now we feel like we've got a lot of other pieces around him that it's going to be that much more challenging for our opponents.
You joked coming in here about us being here on the holiday weekend, but what does this change anything for you and the staff trying to figure out how you're going to line them up and implement all those?
No, I think more than anything, we got to get him here. We got to see where he's at. He hasn't, I don't believe he's practiced. So we got to be very calculated with how we deploy him and just the number of snaps that he's going to get. And I think the first part of that is you got to assess the situation, and in order to do that, you got to have some sort of physical movement.
What was your sort of role just in this whole process with Goody and those guys?
I was just a cheerleader on the sidelines. So no, he talked to me, obviously. I don't want to get into the timelines, but early, before anybody ever even knew this could have potentially come to fruition. So, and, I was like, heck yeah. I mean, these opportunities just don't come about.
You said, I think after this past season, that you originally wanted to just rush the traditional 4, but you guys obviously had to change. Does this allow you to get back to that?
I'd say so. Yes. I think it just gives us a lot of flexibility with what we want to do. And I think Half and our staff have done a great job of, like I've mentioned many times, that you come in with a vision of, hey, we're going to get after them with our front 4. We're going to play coverage. And then I loved the evolution, I would say, of our defense last year in regards to being able to deploy a lot of different fronts, which makes it more challenging for opposing offenses to game plan against when you're not quite sure and they have everything. But it just gives you so much flexibility. Do you want to? I mean, this guy's played off the ball linebacker, and it's rare that you get a defensive end that can go inside and play linebacker or go inside and rush. So he's obviously he's got to have a great football mind and capacity to learn in order to be able to do all those different things.
What's your comfort level with the guys you have now with defensive tackle, with Clark gone? Some guys are going to have to step up. What's your comfort level with those guys that still remain there?
Yeah, I'm very confident. I feel like just in our conversations, that's one thing Goody and I talked about is, we had 6 guys. We had 6 guys on the inside on our roster, and I also think there's situationally there's other guys that you can kick inside as well. So I think you can never have enough edge rushers in this league, and that's a premium position. Not to say that the guys inside aren't; they certainly are as well. But we feel pretty confident with the depth that we have there. I think the growth that we've seen from guys like Carl Brooks, Colby Wooden, then we got the 2 rooks inside there. Obviously, Devontae Wyatt. We feel confident with that group.
Just in terms of the value of pass rush, is that kind of the focus to really maximize Micah as a pass rusher coming off the edge, or is it more to unlock the totality of his game and the other aspects as well?
Can you say that one more time?
I'm wondering, obviously pass rush, like you said, is a premium position. Is that the focus to really maximize him in that area, or is it almost, because he is so versatile, almost an underservice to really focus on that aspect and not all the other things he does?
Well, yeah, I think the one thing he can wreck a game in a hurry. And I just know going against him and having a game plan, especially when you're talking the pass game, you just got to be very, very careful who you're putting down them and just what type of protections you're doing. Matter of fact, I just ironically watched our Dallas game earlier today, and just some of the havoc that he was able to create. And luckily we had our running back bailed us out a couple times from some potential game-changing plays that, where he just made us look silly up front on a couple of plays. So this guy is super versatile and just can change the whole complexion of your defense.
Matt, how do you take on the expectations with this? I mean, I don't think you're sneaking up on anybody now after this trade. What is that going to be like, just carrying that this whole season?
I feel like that's always the expectation around here. I feel like since the day I was hired. So you just approach it no different than we have in the past, trying to be your best each and every day, trying to get a little bit better. It's a long year. There's a lot of variables that come into play throughout the course of the season. And certainly it's just how well you stick together in the tough times and just kind of ride the wave. But as far as expectations, that just is something that comes along with being a Green Bay Packer.
Putting your game planning hat on, what was the challenge of game planning against Parsons? And then the other hand of it, now that he's on your team, what does that do for the rest of your defense that, week one coordinator, whoever's got to go stop Parsons, and what does it do for your defense then?
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenge. Anytime you got a premier edge rusher, it's a big time challenge. First and second down, are you going to play action pass? Do you really want to only have one guy on them? There's a lot of different hoops you got to jump through, and then you don't know where necessarily he's always going to line up. Is he going to line up inside, outside? That's where it gets really fun, I think, for our defensive staff, and becomes a real challenge for you offensively, because, like I said, he's made a lot of people look really bad, and he wins so fast, and that's the thing that you really have to account for. It's just how fast he can get to the quarterback.
Obviously, Rashawn's been good, really good at times. What does this mean for him then? That no one's gonna be able to double team Rashawn anymore, right? So what can this?
Well, yeah, now you got to pick. There's certain situations too where this is why I think the flexibility with your front is so important, because if a guy lines up at defensive end all the time, then you can find a guy and have your tight end or receiver, whoever, your back, and you can make sure you chip them. But when you couple them with a guy on the outside, on the other side, now to your point, Bill, you got to pick your poison. What do you want to do? Are you chipping both sides? Well, if you are, now you're not getting as many people out in the route, at least not initially. So it definitely kind of flips the field in your favor.
You said you happened to be looking at the Dallas tape. Was that because you were getting ready for Dan Quinn and Joe Witt and doing some advanced stuff for that game, or did you just want to look at the guy you just had?
I just wanted to watch him.
Thinking about fit, this guy coming from Dallas to Green Bay, a couple of days after that game, he publicly said, I think on a podcast, that he was impressed by Jordan Love and the game plan that you guys had against him. And 6 months ago, he sat down with Jordan in an interview, right? So how much of those things do you pick up and say, this guy would fit in here with us?
Well, when guys have relationships with other players around the league, you always, especially when you're going through the process, you always ask, what do you think of them? My first exposure to Micah was at the Pro Bowl. Was that the 21 season? And I was really impressed by the guy. Matter of fact, we were joking about it. Like, the majority of the players in the Pro Bowl, I think it's well known, that's why there's not a Pro Bowl game anymore. The majority of the guys looked like they were going through the motions, except for one guy. He was trying to wreck shop out there, and he was trying to win. And that's one thing, just having relationships with other coaches throughout the league that have worked with him. They'll tell you this guy's the ultimate competitor, and if you're whatever it is you're playing, he's going to want to win. And I don't think he's very apologetic about that, which is so exciting as a coach to get a guy like that. And I think that just elevates everybody around him.
What's the acclimation process like for Parsons to get up to speed with Hafley's defense on the field?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of time spent together, I would say, and a lot of one-on-one time to try to get them up to speed as quickly as possible. But I think more than anything else, I'm confident that will happen quickly. But we just got to see where he's at physically before, we put him out there and he's playing 70 snaps a game.
If your defense winds up becoming dominant, does it change your philosophy offensively as to how often you attack and things like that? Do you have to think about those kind of things?
Well, I think every game you kind of go into with a game plan, a blueprint, so to speak, of how you can best win the football game. So I don't want to just speak in absolutes up here. I'm sure sometimes, certainly it could change the way you go about it. But I think we just want to try to score as many points as humanly possible, get a lead on somebody, and then just let the front go.
Matt, how do you feel about Micah as a run defender?
I feel very confident about him.
Two more, please. I asked Brian this same question, but one of the joys of your job is you get to coach great players. I'm curious, how did you find out yesterday that the deal was done? And at that moment, what goes through your mind in getting to coach this guy?
Well, I mean, it's extremely exciting to get one of the premier players in the National Football League on your team. Like I said, just having gone against him a couple times and watching him compete and just the havoc that he wrecks, it's a nightmare going into a game like that because you're just seeing these highlight reel plays that happen pretty consistently. So it was very exciting.
Matt, did you mention the impression that he made on you at the Pro Bowl to Micah? Does he know that story?
No, I haven't sat down and talked to him about that yet, but it was a great impression.
I know that Micah and his family are here. What was it like just finally having him in the building and getting to meet him? His family?
Well, I met his family, and I talked to him for about 3 or 4 minutes before Waller's made me come in here. So I'm looking forward to sitting down with him and getting a little bit more in depth with our conversation.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
There you go. That is Matt LaFleur talking to the media yesterday and getting a little bit of a handle on Micah Parsons as he is now the newest member of the Green Bay Packers. Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Truck drivers, have you been searching for a more reliable driving job? Get the paychecks and predictability you need as a Schneider driver. Schneider's large selection of driving jobs means you can get the home time that suits your schedule. Choose from daily, weekly, monthly, or sometime in between. Plus, Schneider drivers have access to great benefits with a 401k match and a 24/7 support team. Get the keys to a better driving job. Search openings near you and apply now at schneiderjobs.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Nothing but faith in nothing.
Couldn't have you back in the Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Interesting stuff from Matt LaFleur there. And I
listened to Matt LaFleur discuss, the arrival of Micah Parsons. And basically he said, look, I was a bystander. This was not something that I was all in on, not that he doesn't want him there, but he was not really a big part of that discussion. It was, hey, this is what we want to do. He was made aware of it. He just kind of sat by, as he said, I was the innocent bystander on the sidewalk, waiting for that deal to actually culminate. And it did, obviously. But I that was rather interesting. That there was not. It was just basically, this is what we want to do. And this is the direction we're going to go. And we just wanted to let you know. We're going to make this team better in this particular facet. And it worked, obviously. They ended up getting him, and now we'll wait and see what the results actually are. But out of all of that, some of the questions, I'm like, first of all, the Packers defense isn't sneaking up on anybody this year because they were in many different categories a top 13 to top 5 defense, depending on what category you're looking at. So they averaged out about a top 10 defense. So everybody knows the defense is pretty good. Now they just assumedly got better. But
I think
it's a good defense.
And sorry to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
I think the Packers defense was very good last year. I think their weaknesses were exposed against the best teams who, for the most part, Vikings, Lions, Eagles, had the best O-lines. Like, they could not get a sack on a big third down to save their life, right? Yeah. They were good. If you take the full sample of their whole season, they did a lot of good things. But when you zoom in the biggest games and the biggest moments, right, there's 2 or 3 plays that needed to be made to win those games, and they just didn't have a guy to go get the quarterback.
Sure.
Or maybe a stud corner to cover someone. They addressed the former, not necessarily the latter. But I think the defense this year, the difference is in those 2 big moments in every game, like, do you have a guy that can go win you a game? And I think now that they do, that's the big difference to me.
Yeah, it was absolutely. Now you've got I'm not saying that he is Super Bowl, take it over, 2 big series against the Patriots, Reggie White-esque, but you've certainly got, and again, people want to compare it to Reggie, and it's probably the biggest thing to happen defensively to the Packers. I don't even want to say that since Reggie, because Charles Woodson was a huge addition to this team and actually helped lead them to a Super Bowl. But as far as a game record goes, it's that big of story. Whether or not he actually becomes that guy, we'll have to wait and see. I think it is unfair to say this is the Reggie White deal because there's only one Reggie. Reggie was just a beast. And it's not to say that Micah Parsons isn't. It's just Reggie was a beast, man. He was just a beast. And I think for everybody that wants to make that comparison, you're making a comparison that Micah Parsons, I don't think could ever live up to. Because in my opinion, there's probably 2 or 3 guys that deserve that level. Reggie's one of them. Lawrence Taylor is another. And beyond that, we can argue over the third. But there's those 2 guys. And then you can throw in one or two guys that were game wreckers along the way that had those white hot comet type of years. Joe Klecko, you could look at a guy. Mark Gastineau, you could look at a guy. You could look at some of these guys as being the game wreckers, and then there's everybody else. And I think Micah Parsons is to that level, but he's not Reggie. He's not Reggie. So I think you're setting your expectations too high. But that doesn't mean you can't be excited about this deal, because this is a big deal for the Green Bay Packers. It's a huge deal. But I think it's unfair when you lay that kind of expectation on him to say that, well, this is a Reggie White deal. This is going to be a Super Bowl. This is going to hedge your bets. This is going to definitely hedge your bets. As to whether or not it actually comes to fruition, we'll just have to wait and see.
I hope, and we heard a little bit of this from him, I hope he realizes the responsibility and responsibility is maybe not the right word. I hope he realizes the pressure now that's on him. He got the contract, and this team is bringing him in saying, we think you're our final piece. And I'm glad, even if it's maybe a little dramatic with the Reggie White stuff, like, I'm glad that he recognizes that, and I hope he takes it seriously. And he said something like, they didn't trade for me to miss week 1. Like, I hope he realizes what's being put on him, and I think he does.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to find us? Please feel free. Go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. Let's take a quick break. We went a little bit long with Matt LaFleur, but that's okay. That's okay. We're going to go ahead and step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We got a lot more to get to. Hey, thanks to everybody from Social House. Got a lot of support from some people that go there, obviously, that ride, and stopped over there on Sunday morning and then came down and joined us. Great turnout. Social House has always been fantastic. Dan Della has always been great when it comes to volunteerism and such for our ride and for everything that we do when it comes to Big Unit Foundation. They're just great people who put their money where their mouth is. That's the Social House, West Lisbon Road, Menominee Falls, Brookfield, right there on the edge. Please stop in, support them the way they continue to support the community. Again, the Social House, West Lisbon Road, Menominee Falls, Brookfield. Stop in, tell them we said hi.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Zone Blitz pregame bash is back. Every Wisconsin home game 2 hours before kickoff at the Blue Moon Bar and Grill. And this year, do I have something special for you? It's a perfect snack for game day or any day. Wenzel's Farm Pro Snack Sticks. Come see me and I'll hand you 16 grams of protein to fuel you through the day. Wenzel's Farm offers that and so much more, crafted in small batches using premium cuts of meat, perfectly seasoned, and naturally hardwood smoked. Check out wenzelsfarm.com. Made by pros for pros. Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
The majority of the guys looked like they were going through the motions, except for one guy. He was trying to wreck shop out there, and he was trying to win. And that's one thing, just having relationships with other coaches throughout the league that have worked with him. They'll tell you this guy's the ultimate competitor. Whatever it is you're playing, he's going to want to win.
That's what you want. You want a guy that's effort. Well, I tell you what. You look at just look at over the weekend. I know, and it's apples and oranges, but look at what Alabama fans are saying about the Crimson Tide and the effort they gave this past weekend, just getting their butts kicked. And you could see guys what they called loafing. Again, I go to a breakdown over the weekend watching some of, I think it was Dan Orlovsky talked about loafing moments. They count. You know, in his coaching vernacular from years gone by, they counted loaf moments, guys that were running to the football, guys that kind of gave up on the football. And they counted, I think it was 20-something, 24 or something like that, loaf moments out of Alabama. And that's what Matt LaFleur is talking about, guys that quit, guys that just watch the ball carrier go down the field and they're still not running, they're still not trying, they're still not kind of fleeing to the football. And there was one guy that constantly did. The motor was always going. So you don't want loaf moments, and that's why they're excited to get this guy too. You kind of live by example, and hopefully everybody kind of follows behind. I'll tell you this, when you live by example, everybody follows behind. That's Pella. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Go to PellaWI.com, whether it's great windows, an entry system, patio doors, whatever it happens to be, they've got something for everybody. And they have different lines to suit your budget as well. So whether it's home beautification for curb appeal, inside, outside, economical factor with saving you money on the heating and cooling costs, and the safety and security of laying your head on your pillow at night and knowing you're good to go. That is our friends over there at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Go to PellaWI.com. Oh, by the way, 0% financing. PellaWI.com. That becomes more attractive, I guess might be the best way to put it. PellaWI.com. Or call them direct. 855-PELLA-WI. That's 855-PELLA-WI. 855-PELLA-WI. Here we go. Let me get into this real quick because I keep getting more and more people that are going, what about this back issue? What about the problem? Because everybody's freaking out over this. Two things, and I want to get to the phone calls right after this. Two things. Before the trade, there were MRIs, and he was examined by two different doctors. And knowing the Packers' propensity for caution, if there was any problem that was going to stand in the way of him being a productive player in the National Football League, they would not have done the deal. The fact that he was on the practice field yesterday, had there been an issue where Doc McKenzie, who has always been on the side of players, health and safety, if there was any problem, he would not have been out there yesterday. Again, he had an MRI, a couple of physicals before the trade, also examined before he went out on the field. He was on the field yesterday. They're off today, back at it tomorrow, getting into their regular routine. So it's always a little bit of that's something to keep an eye on, but it is not an area of, oh my God, this thing is like a plane heading for a mountain. You know what I mean? I'm not there. Not there. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Let's go to Mark listening to us in Washington, D.C. Mark, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, but look, I hope I can call you back in December and eat my hat for what I'm about to say, but I think this trade is closer to the Tony Mandarich instead of Barry Sanders than it is what we're hoping. The Packers couldn't stop the tush push, so they tried to outlaw it. And who did they go out and spend 2 first-round draft choices for? A guy who can't stop the tush push, okay? And I'm still not sold on Jordan Love being the guy. 2 first-round draft choices might come in handy next year if we discover that, he's not the guy, or Matt LaFleur, team implodes like they have a tendency to do when we have a new coach. And it's not a knock on Mr. Parsons. Obviously, he's a plus addition, but I just think, we should have drafted Barry Sanders. What do you think?
No, appreciate it. I first of all, I am not drafting to stop the tush push. Who they picked up the gut, the guy that's beef up front, when you look at it, is Devontae Wyatt, Carl Brooks. They picked up Warren Brinson, who is a 250-pound dude or 350-pound dude. They got him down to about 330. You got beef up front, Stackhouse, Colby Wooden. Those are the guys that are going to prevent the tush push. Not a guy coming off the edge. So I'm not worried about the tush push. Out of all the plays in the arsenal, I'm not worried about the tush push. And you only have one team that uses it to perfection. That's Philadelphia. You play them once. The other 16 teams, not nearly as proficient at it. So not as concerned about that. And when you talk about Jordan Love, whether or not he is or isn't the guy, I agree. But first of all, you only gave up 1 first-round draft choice for next year and then another one for the year after. But I agree. I mean, look, I've said this all along. I'm with you. I said, look, if Jordan Love is not the guy, then all this doesn't mean a hill of beans. But they believe, as many of us believe, Jordan Love's the guy. And the reason being is we've seen it. We've seen it. We saw it for a good stretch of games in his first year under center. We've seen him play to that level. So we know it's there. Now it has to come back and be consistent. And the injuries last year hindered him from being the full quarterback and his capability and his arsenal and such of what he can be. So I'm not overwhelmingly concerned again, you always have a concern about your quarterback, but I'm not overwhelmingly concerned about it. What I look at is he's got guys around him. The sum of the parts is really good. You can run the ball. You've got tight ends that can block and can catch. You've got wide receivers, one who specifically they believe is really dynamic. You got bigger in the trenches on both sides of the ball. Now you've got a legitimate game wrecker who will make others better. You've got a middle linebacker who jumped off the page last year, now with a full offseason under his belt. I think you're going – now, the only question or concern I may have is not all of that. It might be, say, the depth of the secondary. But again, the trickle-down effect is if you have a pass rush and you speed up a quarterback, it should make your secondary better. Not to say that, you're going to see Micah Parsons every down, surely not coming up against Detroit or the Washington Commanders. But I think it's going to be pretty good. I would not, and to compare him to Tony Mandrich, that is so far off the charts. That's not even a thought for this.
Apples and oranges.
Way far apples and oranges.
Apples and wrenches.
Yes.
They're not even comparing
It's
fruit.
not even in the same category. It's not a food. It's right. So it's so far off the charts.
On that take on the tush push real quick too, they couldn't stop the tush push, but that's not the reason they lost the game. They lost the game because they couldn't get to Hurts in third and obvious passing situations, and they couldn't score.
I was just going to say they couldn't score.
If you're relying on some specialized nose tackle to stop the push, 5 times a game, you're not good enough everywhere else. The game shouldn't come down to that. That should be a relatively small part of the game.
Absolutely. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, go ahead and do it. Again, 877-867-1670. Ken is in Menominee Falls. Ken, how you doing today, man? What's happening?
Fabulous. Just making my way back from the North Woods. It was an outstanding 5 days up there.
Nice.
And with that being said, I disagree a little bit with what Grant had said earlier about pressure, so to speak, being on Parsons. What this money tells him is that, kid, we know your ability. We brought you in for your ability. We know you're going to better our offense. And that's a total calming effect for a player. He's not worried about getting money anymore. Now he can go play, and now he can fit in and be with a new scheme that is going to actually work to his advantage. That's going to give this defense an opportunity. And I'll also say this: with Ed Policy being the new president, he's going to make more splashes like this. And why? Because you have Jordan Love. The last caller was way off base, and everybody's opinion you're entitled to. But Jordan Love is an excellent game manager. And you saw how he handles the LaFleur offense. He does a great job with it. He also has shown us he has the ability to go deep downfield. So he can do it all. It's just a matter of keeping the kid healthy and letting him be, in this third year, everything we thought he could be and more. And I truly believe he's going to be that. Now, when I go back to Ed Policy, the only point I'd make is simply this, is that wherever the Packers are going to need help, I think this new president is not in the least going to hold back and say, no, we're just going to go with what we got, and that's going to be it. I don't believe that's going to be the case. I think this guy, unlike Mark Murphy, who is a businessman, this guy's all about football. It's in his family. He wants to win championships. And I'm not saying Mark Murphy didn't, but Mark Murphy was more on the business end in developing the Lambeau area and keeping the team good enough to give him an opportunity.
I appreciate the phone call. Let me say this. If Mark Murphy was here today, Mark Murphy would have made this deal. They would have made this deal.
I think so too. Yeah.
People forget you had 2 major contracts. You couldn't have made this deal. You had Aaron Rodgers. You had David Bakhtiari. You had big contracts, aging veterans. You had a window. You kind of went for it, but you kind of knew that the window was closing, and therefore you're not going to spend a ton of money and spend a ton of picks when you know the window's closing. Right now, the window is wide open, and you had the salary to be able to do it. You had the cap space to be able to do it. It wasn't about the president. This is about the general manager and Russ Ball. All the president said was, if you think it makes us better, go for it. You know when the window's open. That's why Goody did it. I don't think Ed Policy walked in and said, all right, Mark Murphy's gone. We're going to start making trades. No, that's not the way this works. And I don't know why Mark Murphy takes such a rap. Of course he's about business, but business has nothing to do with the salary cap. Nothing. Nothing. Zero. Nothing. Everybody's got the same amount of money to spend on players. Here it is. It's how you manage your money. That's it. It's not like Mark Murphy went, you know what? I can't build a ski hill or a sled hill or another pavilion or whatever if we're going to go get this guy. No, because you have so much money allotted for your salaries, and the rest of it is your business. That's what drives me nuts. People think that Mark Murphy he got involved against the team because of business. But when he expanded the business side of things, we're not concerned about winning. He always wanted to win. They always wanted to win. But that's not the way it works. Way too many people are way too hard on Mark Murphy. Way, way, way too hard on Mark Murphy. It's funny because when anything positive happened, Murphy had nothing to do with it. But when a trade didn't go down or there wasn't a move made that you wanted, Murphy just he's not pulling the trigger. He's not the guy. That's crap. That's not it at all. The circumstances have changed. They're completely and entirely different. And people just want to ignore that.
They tried to get Khalil Mack in 2018 when Mark Murphy was in charge. And Goody said in his presser, we learned in that deal, got to be a little bit more aggressive, or we had to be faster. Like, they've tried to make moves. But Bill, and everyone needs to understand this, this is not a move that's there to be made every year. This is a move every 5-10 years. So it just kind of happened, in my opinion, at least, to coincide with Ed Policy taking over at the same time.
100%. 100%. It's just the timing. It's just the timing of it. Nothing more. Just the timing. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. And look, I'm not ripping people that have that opinion of Mark Murphy into a sense. It's just like you have to understand the circumstance of it all. That's all. 877-867-1670. Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. After the top of the hour, we're going to hear from Brian Gutekunst as well. Don't go anywhere. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome in. Bill Michaels Show. If you want to give us a shout, please feel free. Mike said Adam Schefter said on Get Up and other shows on Friday over and over this weekend, the Packers execs told him it was policy that made the trade, not Goody. I don't believe that for a second. I
also don't believe Schefter said that on Get Up.
Yeah, I don't believe that for a second.
Find it, but I don't believe that.
Yeah. I don't believe it for a second. He signed off on it, but I don't believe he's the guy that went, hey, go get Micah Parsons. Every general manager in the league kicks the tires. It came down to it, and you get a player like this, and here you go. Because otherwise, Goody would say how much Ed Policy had in a hand in this. And we're going to hear from Goody coming up after the top of the hour, but I don't believe it was Ed Policy that made the trade. I don't believe that for a second. Not at all. Let's see here. Eric said, so I was at work this weekend. I was thinking what a year it's been for Wisconsin sports. If you would go back to the spring, I told you the Brewers will have the best record in baseball and Yelich would hit 30 home runs. You probably would have said, nope. If I would have said you're going to release Dame and sign a player who's been a thorn in our side as a rival, you may have said, wow. The Badgers would allow less points and score more points than Ohio State opening weekend. You might think there's no way. And then to top it off, not only did the Pack take a receiver in the first round, we collectively agree, one we collectively agree should be good, but then we're going to make a trade for one of the youngest, best pass rushers in the league and a game record. You'd be shocked. When you think about our year and our teams, may have given you one of the best and easiest years to have topics to indulge in. Eric, it's been a good year. I can't disagree with that. It's been a good year when it comes to that. But there's, you know what? Even I'll say this, and I hate to say this. I don't know how to put it. There are more people that come out of the woodwork for the negative than there are for the positive. I'll say that again. There are more people that come out of the woodwork for the negative than there are for the positive. There are more people that come out and say, I told you so, and they're negative than they are for the positive. We get more reaction, more viewers, more emails, more texts, everything. If the Packers lose, the Brewers lose, whatever, because more people are outraged, they're passionate, they're pissed off, and they want to yell at somebody. I get more reaction, more listeners, more viewers, everything when there's a negative. When the things are good, when things are over the top good, everybody jumps on board and the bandwagon gets huge. It's awesome. Okay, that also helps. Don't get me wrong. But it's really weird. If the Packers lose a close game, it is off the charts. Off the charts. If the Packers get a great win, it's good. It's not great. But it's just bizarre. But yes, to answer your question, it has been an incredible year. And plus, too, when we talk about the whole Giannis thing, and by the way, Thanasis is coming back for those that didn't know. But with the whole Giannis thing, that was more stirred up by national media pounding on it every day, trying to figure a way to get Giannis out of Wisconsin than it was anything inside the camp of the Milwaukee Bucks. I told you a long time ago, people inside that organization that are close to Giannis and spoke to me said he's not going anywhere. He doesn't want to go anywhere.
It's mostly just shams. You said insiders. I'll say
Right.
it was insider. It was mostly
It was
just
one
him.
guy who was completely wrong. Completely wrong. It's I agree. Nick says coincidences does not mean correlation. Policy versus Murphy is silliness to me. Which I agree. But don't forget, Mark Murphy didn't have a problem making a trade and bringing in a guy like Josh Jacobs. Woodson was a part of all of this. You go back to some of the deals that they have made along the way. I mean, they didn't make a blockbuster deal, but there's only so many blockbuster deals that are out there. But again, you also have to be able to take on the money. And this team was always pressed against the salary cap when they had two major salaries in Aaron Rodgers and David Bakhtiari that they had to account for over the last 5-6 years. So again, even if you had a blockbuster deal, it didn't mean you could afford to do it. 877-867-1670. Don't go anywhere. We're going to hear from Brian Gutekunst when we come back. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. Stay right where you're at. Got a lot more. It's coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers are getting a day off for the first time in nearly 3 weeks. Milwaukee just finished playing 19 games over the last 18 days, including a 10-8 loss to the Phillies yesterday that saw them unable to hold leads of 4-0 and 5-1. Pitcher Jacob Mizrowski admitted today is much needed.
Everyone needs it. I think it's just, it's a grind going through these, 19 games, right? Something like that. So it's, it's a long stretch, and, everyone's going to enjoy the off day.
Despite back-to-back losses, Milwaukee's lead in the NL Central stands at 5.5 games on the Cubs with 23 to play. They are also 4.5 games up on the Phillies for the best record in the National League. Mizrowski looking forward to the final few weeks.
Yeah, I think we're in a good spot. We're hitting, but I think it's going to be fun to watch, and in the locker room, it's going to be a lot of fun being in here.
Again, Brewers are off today. They'll be back on the field tomorrow night against the Phillies at American Family Field.
For nearly 40 years, ABC Wisconsin Apprenticeship has been helping men and women transform themselves into highly skilled trade professionals. These skills are in demand and provide strong wages and benefits for a bright future. If you're a hands-on person who likes the feeling when you get projects done, apprenticeship could be for you. Go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Well, the Packers are into their normal week routine, which means a day off today. Back on the field for practice tomorrow as they prep for Sunday's season opener against Detroit. Green Bay expecting to have new addition Micah Parsons available against the Lions, though he is dealing with a sprained back. Reports surfaced yesterday that he may need a shot to be able to play. And Wisconsin also gearing up for its second game as they will take on Middle Tennessee State on Saturday at Camp Randall. Badgers favored by 28.5. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Welcome in to the Bill Michaels Show. We have another hour yet to go. We're not going anywhere. Not going anywhere at all. Another hour yet to go. It's a beautiful day. Second day of September. Sunshine. Looks great. Looks great. And just enjoying our time today. Packers off today. Brewers off today. Everybody gets back at it tomorrow. Badgers back on the practice field getting ready for Saturday this coming weekend. So looking forward to that. So a lot of good things to discuss here in the great state of Wisconsin. And the biggest offseason move was made by the Green Bay Packers. We're going to get to Brian Gutekunst coming up here momentarily. This portion of the program is brought to you by our great friends over there at Marquardt RV. Can't do what we do. This coming weekend, we are raising money. We auctioned off a trip to go to Green Bay, go see the game and everything with me, to three, there's 6 tickets, but 3 people all bid about the same, and we raised about $10,000 for the Big Unit Foundation, which is great. And our friends at Marquardt RV, we couldn't have done it without them. They pride themselves on community, and they pride themselves in their service. So thanks to Marquardt RV. And whether you're looking for everything from a Jayco to a KZ, maybe a Canterbury, how about a Thor motor coach like what we have, or a Tiffin, which is just beautiful, they've got everything. And they have locations all over the great state of Wisconsin, and they pride themselves. When you're going in there, they have knowledgeable sales staff, okay? Because anybody can sell you anything, but they've got a knowledgeable staff. But more so than anything, after the fact, their service, there's something you don't know, something that's not working right, something that you're just not quite sure of how to do, they can help you out with everything. They can walk you through the steps, whether it's right there in person or over the phone, to say, hey, these are the things that we have seen throughout our history, and we can help you out. As a matter of fact, our buddy Munch, who works in the service department in Columbus, at the Columbus location, rode on the ride with us this past weekend. He was there. So supporting Marquardt RV. So kudos to Marquardt RV for everything. 7 locations, 8 locations in the state of Wisconsin, a couple of them over in Minnesota as well. MarquardtRV.com. That is MarquardtRV.com. Let's take a listen to the general manager of your Green Bay Packers. That is Brian Gutekunst. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Thanking Kenny Clark for the 9 years he was with us. What an exceptional player, exceptional person. Really hard to see him go, but there was really no way around it. That was the one thing it was going to be part of this trade no matter what for them. I also want to thank the Dallas Cowboys just for their professionalism through this, and our organization as well. I just think some of the times these things are very hard to keep, under wraps as you work through them. And I think, again, very, very thankful for them, and then our guys as well as we navigated through this. So with that, I'll take questions.
You mentioned Kenny Clark, the first-round picks, obviously with money. What does bringing in Micah signify for this team?
No, I think, obviously a player like Micah and is very unique and very rare is it that they're available, right? So as this kind of came together, it was just one of those things where it was a unique opportunity for us, and it was going to cost, right? There was going to be some expense with it, but we just kind of thought it was the best thing for our football team, and we're excited to get him. We're excited to get him out there and get him with our team so that he can get up to speed as fast as possible.
Obviously, you weren't here when they signed Reggie, but I'm sure Ron was here. Obviously, did they ever talk to you about what that meant? And is there maybe some parallels with Micah?
Yeah, I don't think there's really any parallels to that at all. I mean, again, I wasn't here, so it's hard for me really to compare that. Different time. I think the Packers organization was in a different space at that time. So I can't really comment on that. Mike is his own man, and he's going to forge his own path here. But I think he's going to be a really, really good fit for our locker room, really good fit for our team. But that was a little before me.
What do you think he can give you guys in 9 days when you play a game?
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to see, right? He's just getting through the physical right now, and we'll have a chance to get him out there Monday and see where he's at. Certainly, I think we're hopeful that he'll help us in some form or fashion in the opener. But I do think it's on us to be smart and make sure that he's ready to go.
These talks were happening at this time of the year, not like before the draft or something like that. How did that kind of impact the negotiations, and did it help your cause a little bit, do you think?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Not really sure. I mean, I think obviously when the draft's coming up, there's a deadline, and that certainly sometimes can spark things, so to speak. So this one was probably a little bit more drawn out than maybe right before the draft or in those days. So, but again, very thankful to the Jones family, Jerry and Steven, for the professionalism as we work through it.
I imagine Jeff Hathaway's pretty happy, but as far as the players in the building, what level of excitement and what does this do for the organization?
Yeah, no, I certainly when you bring in a player like this, I hope there's some excitement. There's probably some bittersweet things going on as well because Kenny was such a well-liked guy in our locker room. But these guys want to win, and they know this is an opportunity to help us to win football games. So I'm sure there'll be some excitement. The timing was a little bit different because they were kind of out of here before all this kind of went down. So. They'll all come back on Sunday night and be here Monday for practice. And again, I think hopefully they're going to be focused and it's more business-like approach. But again, Micah's production in his first 4 years in the league, sure, and he's very well known. So I think our guys will understand why we did this.
How would you describe Ed's role in this?
Ed policy? Oh, sure. Just, a lot like Mark, very supportive, certainly with a move like this, it's certainly something that I would let him know that we were going down this road. When we're signing practice squad guys, we don't do that, but with something like this and the magnitude of the financial part of it, let them know that we're going down this road and make sure that the organization is prepared for it. And, Mark was exceptionally supportive during my time with him, and Ed was the same in this instance.
Feels like they're a double whammy with the trade and the big contract. What are your thoughts about taking that plunge?
Yeah, I think again, you picks and the financial part of it. That's always a lot, but at the same time, like I said, this is a very unique player that rarely becomes available to us. So a little bit like X and Josh Jacobs, again, there's just not a lot of these players at this point in their career where their best football is ahead of them that become available. And like I talked about on, I guess it was Wednesday, every opportunity that we have to improve the football team now and in the future, we're going to take a look at. So certainly this was something we were going to take a look at. And then, we're just fortunate enough that we were able to get it across the finish line.
If I remember right, it was about this time of the year that you went through this with Khalil Mack back in 18, right, your first year. Negotiations at this time of the year, did you learn anything from that played into this one or similar in any way?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think for me, and it was a little different, and I think for what I learned from that experience is you kind of got to be in there early. I think you can't. With Khalil, it was kind of one of those things. I felt like after that went by that we were in it a little bit late. I don't think it would have changed the outcome of that back then, but I think for me this one was. I think I just felt like if you're going to be in on something like this, you're going to have to be in early.
Brian, the defensive tackle with losing Kenny, how do you feel about the remaining players in the room? And is there any opportunity to maybe add another player to that room still before the start of the season?
Yeah, I feel really good about the group. We obviously have a couple of unproven rookie players that haven't gone out there and done it, but man, they've really done a nice job in camp so far, and we're excited about them. But I've felt all along last year with TJ and Kenny here that, Carl and Wooden and DY, I just felt that they probably needed more reps and deserved more reps, but obviously they had two really good players in front of them. So I thought we were deep, and obviously we've lost a couple of guys now going into this season, but I'm excited what those guys that have been here, what we'll do, and then I'm interested to see also what, Stackhouse and Brinson bring to the table as well.
Bookend edge rushers are such a valuable commodity in this league. It's hard to get to. How important was it to you to retain Rashawn in this deal, and what do you think he plus Micah can do?
Yeah, I know it was really important. Affecting the passer in our game is on defense is everything, and to be able to have two guys, proven guys that have done it multiple years, feed off each other. I think I'm excited to see what Half can do with that. I think we've over the past few years, we've really increased our speed on defense, with Edge and Quay and Bull in the nickel, and certainly Xavier in the back end. So I think, we've really increased our speed, and I'm excited about that. And Lucas Van Ness as well.
Were there points in your talks with the Cowboys where they said he's not available, and then did it take a little while? At what point did you believe that he was available?
Yeah, I'll keep most of those details in my conversations with them between us. But, I think, the chances of these things kind of happen are pretty slim, and I kind of think that was my mindset the whole time. I was going to keep the conversations going because of the uniqueness of the player. I don't think it was really until the last few days that I actually thought, hey, there's an opportunity here to really to close this thing out. So, and in fairness, like I've been through a bunch of these that no one's ever heard of, but that kind of, that's how it goes. You talk, and then you really realize it's really not an opportunity. So when the opportunity kind of opened a little bit, you really thought that this could happen. It was pretty exciting, and we kept in it.
Have you thought much yet about how this affects the next 2 drafts? And what do you think it's going to be like on that last Thursday in April, the next 2 years?
Yeah, I was teasing the guys. You guys just wanted a couple of days off, and so for Thursdays. But I did really like it when it was just Saturday and Sunday. The 2 days, it was much better. But no, I mean, you guys know how we feel about picks here and how important they are to our football team. So to make this move, certainly you can understand what we think about the player and how he's going to affect our football team. I mean, again, those drafts are a little bit of ways. Who knows what can happen between now and then, and where we'll sit with picks and whether we're picking on Thursday or whether we're not. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of conversation about whether this was the right thing to do as far as giving up those picks, only because we covet them so much. But again, there's just not very many opportunities to acquire a player like this.
So Brian, does that mean, because you talk about value during the draft process, does that mean that your evaluation of this player over 4 years equals as much as 2 first-rounders in order to make that mention, financial aside?
Yeah, I think when you're dealing with you're trading picks for a player and giving up a player, it's a little bit tough. When you're just giving picks for picks, those values, you can use those numbers and things like that. I think every team is different. There could be times that this might not make sense for some of the teams we've had in the past, but for our team right now, I felt that this was an opportunity to make us a little bit more diverse in what we want to do on defense. And again, it really comes down to the player. I mean, these guys just don't, these opportunities to acquire these players just don't come around. Not only a talent like this, but one who's proven in the league, whose best football is ahead of him. I mean, it was a very unique opportunity to acquire a player like this. In my time, there hasn't been very many opportunities like this in the past. And so, again, I think it's our responsibility to make sure that we entertain that and see if it's possible.
Right. Who, if anyone, did you seek out to, that maybe had been around Mike at any time to talk about?
Again, I'm not going to go into details of who we talked to and the conversations, but certainly there's been people around him in his pro career that we have close ties with. And then certainly, we put a lot of time, as you guys know, into the scouting process. So a lot of our information comes out of that. But in Dallas, there was people that we were close with that have had a lot of time with him.
Financially, how difficult is it going to be to build a roster when you have Jordan top of the market and Mike at the top of the market? You got some other obviously really good guys too.
No, Bill, that's a good question. I think first of all, I got to give Russ Ball a ton of credit because really the blood, sweat, and tears were a lot of him on this contract. But a lot of the work, I mean, and he did a great job. I really like the 3 years cap numbers, the first 3 years. I think that's going to give us the flexibility that, with a lot of the really good players we have coming up, that we're going to be able to still be able to keep those guys. But there's no doubt when you acquire a player like this who's going to take up that much of the cap that you're going to have to make some choices. You always do, right? But I really, looking at it right now, the cap numbers for 25, 26, and 27, I think are pretty solid for us, and we'll kind of see where that goes.
Brian, you said a few times now that these moments are rare. I'm curious, yesterday when it was finalized and you knew it, just on a human, emotional level, like what went through your mind? What was the joy like? And did you celebrate this last night?
Yeah, I mean, we celebrate when we sign a practice squad guy, right? So we enjoy everybody up there enjoys the job. But it was a little bittersweet. I mean, because as soon as we got to a certain point, I knew I had to call Kenny, and that is a really, really tough phone call for a player who has put so much into our organization, our team. That's always tough. But at the same time, our job is to make those decisions. And, we thought we made a good decision for our football team. We'll see. We've got a long way to go. It's a team game. We've won no game so far. So we got to get him in, up to speed and into our scheme and see how that fits. But no, I think, again, like I said, it was a unique opportunity to add a very unique player. And we were excited about that.
In that regard, having made this move right before the start of the season, how do you feel about what you have as a roster and what you put together compared to any other season?
Yeah, I mean, again, this move was not just for this season, right? I mean, it was for multiple seasons, and but no, I feel good about our roster. I felt great about our roster before this happened, right? So I think we have a very good team. I think that they got a long way to go to become the kind of team we want to be. But I think that potential is there. And I think adding Micah is just one of those things that can help that. And again, I'm excited for the season. A lot of work ahead of us. And we'll see where it goes.
Will Van Ness play more inside just to get him on the field?
I think that remains to be seen. I mean, he's always been able to do that, and we've been doing that with him. We certainly want to get Lucas on the field. And I think I'm sure Jeff and his staff are drawing up some very creative situations now that, our personnel looks like it does.
Let's do this. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Brian Gutekunst speaking and kind of giving you thoughts on everything from Micah Parsons and such beyond regarding his team. And then we'll come back. Bottom of the hour. Got a special guest, Jerry Kramer. Packer Hall of Famer, NFL Hall of Famer, Jerry Kramer is going to chime in on his thoughts regarding the 2025-2026 NFL season for the Green Bay Packers. Don't go anywhere. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket, this is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Pull up to Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee and shoot your shot at big wins for Sweet Ticket September. Play with your rewards card for entries. Score triple on drawing Thursday. Win slam dunk prizes like cash, reward play, and tickets to see the Milwaukee Bucks in action. Sweet Ticket September. You ready for this? Only at Potawatomi. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. Coming up bottom of the hour. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Packer Hall of Famer. NFL Hall of Famer. Jerry Kramer's going to join us. He'll be here about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that. So hang out because we're going to talk with Jerry Kramer coming up here in just a few. In the meantime, I want to go back to it. Brian Gutekunst wrapping things up with the media from yesterday. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Kind of along the lines of what Steve just asked you, is this a sign of where you think you are organizationally that this is the guy who can get you across the finish line? You've had to say a bunch of really good teams. You've had some bad luck and whatnot that's prevented you from getting there. But is this the guy that maybe gets you there?
I think you might ask me the question on Wednesday about, one player away. I don't believe in that, so I do think this guy's going to add to our football team. And I think he's going to certainly help us win football games. But I think that, I just don't really believe that one player puts you over the top, so to speak. I've never believed in that. But the biggest thing is going to be these guys coming together and putting their individual goals aside and deciding they want to win.
The internal conversations that you guys have throughout this process, how quickly does that go from you having the thought of I'm going to reach out to just see where this is at to collectively, internally having those collaborative we're in this conversation?
Yeah, the internal conversations with my personnel staff is we talk about these things all the time and bounce things off each other. It's very important that I do that with those guys because those are the guys who are going to tell me that actually understand the value of what we're giving up. I mean, most of the guys, most the coaches for sure. I mean, they're looking at the Detroit Lions and this guy can help us. So absolutely, we want to do this, right? But those guys in the personnel room, they understand. What we're giving up. They understand the long-term ramifications in the short term, not only with the team, but with the salary cap. And they're not afraid to tell me when they disagree. So those conversations are extremely important. And then once we kind of get through those is when, maybe I'll start reaching out if that's what we decide to do. I think these conversations, again, it wasn't a big group of people that we were talking to because we kind of wanted to keep it as quiet as we could, but very, very important as we made this decision.
You said it's hard to keep under wraps. Bill's question on Wednesday. Had you already reached an agreement on the trade parameters when I was blabbing on about bold moves?
I'll keep those details in the conversations. We had the framework of what it might be. Even way before that, but again, there was so far to go, and before that could be a reality. That, and again, to be just fair and honest, it was these things rarely happen, and there's a ton of times you go through these conversations and you have frameworks and structures of how you're going to do this, and it just doesn't come to fruition. So it's kind of one of those things where we were hopeful, but. See how it goes.
And then you said, and again, I understand you're trying to keep a lot of the details to yourself, but you said you got to get in early. You knew he was disgruntled down there for a while. So can you at least give us an idea how early is early?
I think, we, just fairly early. Fairly early.
Right when he requested a trade?
Fairly early. Yeah.
Ryan, there was a note from Jerry yesterday at his conference that Kenny practiced yesterday. As you're going through this, A, did that happen? And then B, is there a nervousness and angst from you of if something happens to Kenny in practice, all of a sudden maybe this deal falls apart?
Yeah, that's a great question. He did practice. It's certainly something I thought about a lot. I don't know if you can live that way, he might have been limited a little bit, but I don't know if you can live that way. Kenny was a big part of our football team. There was a very good chance even then that he may end up playing for us against Detroit in week 1 and he needed to practice. So, those are tough decisions, but to hold a player out of practice for a maybe, that's just not something I was willing to do.
Going back to that draft in 21, obviously you were way down the bottom and he went 12th. Did you study him a lot at the time? What did you think of him then? What you thought? Is he better than you thought?
If you guys remember, he didn't play. I don't know if he played at all that last year before he came out. I don't remember exactly why. But anyway, he was a stand-up linebacker, right? That's what he was coming out. And I did go to the pro. I was at the pro day, and that's where, the athletic traits, they jump off the tape with everything he did in college. At the pro day was the first time where someone really put him through some serious pass rush drills. On tape, he'd come off the ball, he'd blitz, and he'd rush a passer, and you could see that. But the pro day was the first day they really put his hand in the dirt, and they did a lot of drills where you just were you saw 2 or 3 reps, and you're like, well, what else do you need to see? It was one of those just rare things. So I think everybody kind of knew that when he came into the league, he was going to do some rushing the passer. And I think his first year, he kind of split time almost equally, standing up and rushing the passer. And then he just kind of started moving more towards just a pass rusher because it was so valuable, But yeah, we scouted him really good. Those guys are fun to watch, even though you may know it's a pretty unrealistic chance you got a chance to take him. But when you see the great ones, you like to watch them, so.
Hey, Goody, we're not going to burden him with the Reggie White comparison. I understand that. But your fan base is really, really excited, obviously. You remember being a student at Eau Claire or at lacrosse?
Eau Claire? Come on, I got way more.
When that happened, do you remember that?
No, to be honest with you, when I was in college, pro football was really the last thing on my mind. I love college ball. I remember when in '96 when they won the Super Bowl, I might have been studying, but I'm like, what is all this noise? Why are people so excited? And there was the whole campus was going downtown to the bars. I'm like, what's going on? I never really followed pro football until I interned here too much. So I was just a college guy. My dad was a college coach, and that's what I followed. I didn't. I knew who Reggie White was. He was one of the best players in the world. But I certainly didn't follow the Packers back then. So.
You mentioned the physical and obviously being smart with week 1. Is there any at all concern with his back?
Yeah, obviously he's doing physical right now, but I think we feel fairly confident that that's certainly not a long-term problem. It's something that he'll work through pretty quickly, we would think.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
There you go. That is Brian Gutekunst talking about everything when it comes to the Micah Parsons trade. Some of the stuff he's going to tell you, some of the stuff he's not. They wanted to know exactly when this began. He just said we got in on the process early. We learned from some of the past mistakes or some of the things that maybe we didn't do enough regarding trades, and that was from yesterday. So Goody talking about the deal that went down. The deal that went down. There you have it. Let's do this. When we come back, the legend that started, really, when you think about the titles coming to Titletown, he was a big part of it. And we're going to talk with the Packer Hall of Famer, the Pro Football Hall of Famer, Jerry Kramer is going to join us. That is coming up next in the Bill Michaels Show. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. It's all coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Packers fans, your next quick trip run could score you the ultimate win. Cruising into tailgate season in a brand new Chevy Silverado RST, or blazing the trails on a new Polaris Sportsman 570, or grilling like an MVP with your new Pit Boss Ultimate Liftoff Griddle. Whoa, every dollar you spend at Quick Trip with Quick Rewards earns you a point in the Packers fan zone. So come in and get winning. No purchase necessary. Full details at quicktrip.com/sweepstakes.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome in. Hey, if you are looking for a great gig, Neva Industrial Bearings, Brampton, Wisconsin. You can look for them on Indeed. They're looking for good CNC machinists, and they're willing to pay top dollar, benefits, all of that. Go to MIBA, M-I-B-A, Industrial Bearings in Grafton, Wisconsin. M-I-B-A, Industrial Bearings in Grafton, Wisconsin. You call them direct, 262-337-2210. Again, 262-337-2210. And they are manufacturing hydrodynamic bearings for the power generation industry. They continue to grow bigger and better. Again, get a hold of MIBA, M-I-B-A. Search them on Indeed or call them direct, 262-337-2210. That's 262 337-2210. It has been a heck of an offseason for the Green Bay Packers. Coming up this weekend, there is a big kind of an alumni reunion. There's going to be an autograph signing. There's going to be a lot of fun going on inside the Hilton Garden Inn, where you're going to have Chuck Mercine, Don Anderson, Dave Robinson, Mark Fleming, Lynn Dickey, Paul Kaufman, Ezra Johnson, Willie Buchanan, Mark Lee, and this guy, good friend of the show and good friend in general, our buddy Jerry Kramer, NFL Hall of Famer and Packer Hall of Famer. Jerry, how you doing, man?
If I get any better, they're going to arrest me on suspicion.
Beautiful. Glad you're doing great. Hey, I mean, you tell me. Obviously, you're a Packer fan as much as you were a player and a Hall of Famer. But when you hear that the Packers make a move and pick up Micah Parsons, how elated were you?
I was stunned by the deal. I'm the whole package, the salary, the 2 first-round choices, and the player from Green Bay who was an All-Pro himself. So I'm waiting to see this guy. He's got to be the greatest thing since soup or something. You know, it's just we're putting a lot of pressure on him, but it sounds like he can stand it and take it. So I'm excited about having a talent like that. His speed. Makes my speed look like the 1920s versus a new caddy today or something like that. But Horning was like 5 flat. I was 5'1", 5'2". This kid is like 4'6'3".
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Under that by a significant margin. Plus he's a big guy. So I'm excited about him, and I'm anxious to see him play.
Jerry, when you have a guy that's in your locker room that has that's something, and you played with a lot of those guys, what kind of confidence does that give the rest of the guys in that locker room?
Well, you know, it's kind of like locking the door. You know, it gives you a sense of safety and a sense of well-being. And the Coach Lombardi really was the only coach of any consequence that I had. And he recognized that, and he used that, and he talked about that. And he also went the other way. If you did something wrong, he was right in your face and telling you all sorts of things and whatnot. But by and large, he was a very positive guy. And most of our guys had a pretty good opinion of themselves, and it was earned. It wasn't given. And so having that confidence and studying the films, knowing that if you really want to get better, you got to understand your opponent. You got to understand how he likes to charge at my position as an offensive guard. I'm looking at a defensive tackle like Leo Nomalini, who was a professional wrestler. He's 6'7", 6'8", 285. But he put his right foot back when he was going to the inside. He's only got 2 ways to go. He's going inside or outside. When he wants to go outside, he puts his feet parallel so that he can step easier with that left foot. So he made my job just a whole lot easier by giving me that clue, giving me that information. So, you know, your confidence, it's not enough. You want more. You want to be better. You have a burn, a hunger, a drive, a fire to get better. And that passion is what pushes you.
You recognize greatness in locker rooms. You guys were a part of that, you know, and I've always said there's something that brings the team together. There's something that solidifies things to where all of a sudden you go, hey, we're good and we've got a shot here. So is this that kind of a move that says to everybody in the locker room, everybody now believes in us. We have to now go out and prove it because we're there. It's our time to arrive.
It might be. It very well could be. It depends. There's a tremendous amount riding on this young guy at this time. And everybody is going to know the situation and the salary and the numbers and all of that. And so every eye is going to watch him and measure him. And Packer fans are probably the most knowledgeable fans in football. They've been fans most of their life, a lot of them. And so they're aware of the quality of the individuals and the weaknesses and the strengths and the whole thing. So he's going to be in a position right now to prove himself. We got a shot. He's obviously a great physical talent, good attitude, good kid. I don't know. The numbers were so astronomical to a guy who got a $250 bonus when he signed.
Right.
So it's just hard to imagine than $180 million or something like that, and what that does to a guy.
Yeah.
And that's the key. If it doesn't affect his thought process, his mind, his drive, his hunger, his want, his fire, his desire to be great or excellent, then we made a good trade, and we'll gather around him and pat him on the back and go Yahoo. So he's on trial right now.
I mentioned some of the names: Chuck Mercine, Don Anderson, Donnie Horn, obviously Dave Robinson, Marv Fleming. I can go through the whole list, but you guys all get together. Big reunion coming up this weekend for the 29th annual Packer Alumni Weekend, sponsored by Front Row Collectibles, and it should be a lot of fun with signing autographs and seeing fans all over again for however many years you've been doing this, man. You're the legend, and people come out to see you in droves.
You know, it's stunning sometimes. I've been coming to Green Bay for quite a while, but the last couple of years there seems to be an awareness or something. I'm not sure what it is, but we were with Kathy Dvorak does a wonderful job with the Packers. She's a lady that runs us and gathers us and books us and does all that. And she took me to lunch at the Packer Stadium last fall. And we'd been doing things in the morning, and we went into lunch, and we sat in the cafeteria that's kind of a quarter of a circle. Mm-hmm. And there were probably 400 or 500 people there. And some folks came over when we were eating, and I signed 15 or 20 or 30 autographs, something like that. And my son Matt was with me, and we were shipping the bulls and having a good time and telling tales. And we got up to leave, and I'm in a chair now. My legs have gone, and I have to ride in a chair, and that's not much fun. But the crowd, like for the next 100 feet or so, all applauded as we started to leave the cafeteria. And as we went through the next level, the next bunch of people, they stood up and applauded. And the next one stood up and applauded. And they applauded us all the way out of the cafeteria. And it was just warmed my heart. You know, it was a thank you, and it was just a wonderful moment for me. So every time I get back and I get involved with the fans, all my memories come back, all the guys come back, everything comes back, and I just enjoy it so much that it's like having candy. It's just a wonderful experience, a wonderful event. And you're right. It's been 60 years since I played. Right. I mean, I retired in 68, 69, so 30, 40, 55, 56, 7 years. It's a long time ago. But it's the fans are good fans, they're memorable fans. The books have probably have an impact, and we've got a new one out now that we're kind of fond of, and it's just been a wonderful ride. And I was here. My beginnings were in a town in eastern Montana where I was born. There were 200 people in town. That's the size of the town. I was born in my uncle's room upstairs in the house, in my uncle's room. And I lived there until I was 7, 8 years old. So those beginnings don't look like they're going to be that much. You know, they don't look. The world looks huge from that little town and that small area. But to get drafted, to get to play professional football, to have Coach Lombardi, just a wonderful ride and a wonderful experience, and I love it.
Hey, before I let you go, you mentioned Coach Lombardi, and you and I have always talked about you just knew something. There was always a way to get you to play better, whether it was motivation through anger, motivation through money, motivation through championships, whatever it was that made you tick and made you better. You always say Coach Lombardi had a way of tweaking that. When you look, is there any similarities championship coaching wise to what you see today or what you've spoken to when you've talked to Matt LaFleur is to what you see possibilities down the road for that championship level of coaching, we'll say, because there's no other Coach Lombardi. We all know that. But do you see any traits that would say this guy's got that moxie to now take this team over the top?
I don't know that coaching staff well enough to answer that question. Okay. I'm so focused on Coach Lombardi and his impact on my life. And the first time I met him, I mean, the first day of practice almost in 59, we had a 1-10-1 record and the worst record in the history of the franchise. And then Coach Lombardi came in 59, and I made a mistake. I missed an assignment, and he come running across the field from about 40 yards away. He got about 6 inches from my nose, and he goes, "Mister, the concentration period of a college student is 5 minutes, high school is 3 minutes, kindergarten is 30 seconds, and you don't have that? So where's that put you?"
Yeah, you're right. It's got to be about the focus of the concentration, no doubt.
I'm checking my shoe shine, right? Yeah. I go practice ends, and he stays out with the wide receivers and quarterbacks, and I go up in the locker room, shuck my hat off, my shoulder pads, and chin in my hand, elbow in my knee, looking at the carpet and wondering what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. And I'm never going to be able to play for a guy like this, and he's probably going to cut me anyway. And so I've been sitting there for 45 minutes, and he comes in, finishes the practice with the wide receivers, comes in the locker room and sees me down at the far end of the locker room. He comes down, pats me on the back, messes up my hair, pushes me on the shoulder, said, "Son, one of these days you're going to be the best guard in football."
There you go. He knew
something. Boom. Yeah. My energy just was about to burst out of my chest, right? Just an incredible surge of energy, and I'm thinking about it later that night, and I'm thinking, you know, I believe him to be an honest man. I believe he talks and says what he thinks, and he's not putting on any show. And if he believes in me, I can believe in me. So I started to believe in me, and I started to push me. Instead of getting through the calisthenics with 60%, I'm giving them 99% or maybe 100. Damn near everything I have. I'm putting it on the line because he believes in me. Now I believe in me, and that makes me a much better player. And if it's only 10% or 17% or 5%, it doesn't matter. It makes you a better player. And that's why we won.
Yeah. Jerry, it's always great to talk to you. It's always great to pick the memories. And I look forward to everybody coming out and seeing you this weekend. Again, they're going to be at the Hilton Garden Inn on Lombardi Avenue. You can stop there Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Jerry, it's always great to talk, my friend. Best of luck. Keep the health going. Keep fighting the fight. And we will see you up there this weekend, okay?
Thank you.
There you, bud. There you go. That's Jerry Kramer, the Packer Hall of Famer and the NFL Hall of Famer, joining us and spreading a little wisdom. Going to go ahead and take a quick break, but how do you top that? All you do after that is just mic drop and walk away, right? Mic drop and walk away. That's it. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
What a day. What a day. That's day one. Tuesday edition. But what a day. And to drop a mic on Jerry Kramer, you know? Fantastic. Tomorrow, Dan Miller, the voice of the Detroit Lions, is going to be back. Mark Schofield makes his triumphant return, so we're loaded tomorrow as well, which is awesome. Mike Clemens back at it tomorrow after the off day today. Packers off today, back at it tomorrow. And we'll hear from Matt LaFleur and such. But tomorrow, good day. A lot of stuff coming up tomorrow. Anything we missed today, Grant, that I don't know about?
So, yes, but I don't think it's anything that I don't care about it. So David Mulligetta, Micah Parsons' agent, he's also Rogers' agent, Athletes First, or not Rogers, but Love, went on First Take this morning to, dispel, because Jeremy Fowler put out this long story at ESPN about, well, Dallas thought that they had a deal, and I just don't care about any of this stuff. I don't care what Jerry Jones thought, and I don't care what Micah Parsons' agent thought. I don't care about any of this. This can just be the soap opera for the Cowboys clicks, because I don't think any of this matters for us Packers fans.
Right. Yeah, Mark, he had said, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that he had really never planned to sit out the whole season, even though that was the threat, and that he really wanted to stay in Dallas. He said that they never told the Cowboys that they wouldn't play, but he wanted to be a Cowboy. That's what he wanted. He wanted to ultimately remain there.
not playing's not an option, right?
Right.
Like that doesn't do anything for me. You say, well, we weren't going to sit out. My thought was, well, duh. Like that's as close to career suicide as it gets. I don't think that was ever an option, but thanks for sharing.
He was a guy that, I now correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he said something about he'd always grew up a Cowboys fan. He wore the blue and white at Penn State because of the Cowboys. That's what he wanted. But, they're excited to be in Green Bay and have a legitimate shot at winning a championship. So I know it's not what Packers fans want to hear because ultimately, Packers fans hate the Cowboys. And I understand that. So to bring a guy in that ultimately wanted to remain a Cowboys player, that's kind of like, that's not music to your ears. But he said that the Cowboys flat out would not negotiate with them at all. Because Jerry believed they had an agreement and would not come off of that stance, would not discuss it with anybody else. That was it. And that's ultimately what Jerry's obstinance is what ruined this deal for them. And ultimately, led to the trade of Micah Parsons coming to Green Bay. So their loss is, I guess, our gain might be the best way to put it. And hopefully it all works out that way. We'll talk about it tomorrow as Micah Parsons and the Green Bay Packers back in the practice field. Like I said, my guy, Dan Miller, the voice of the Detroit Lions, is going to join us tomorrow. We're really looking forward to that. Obviously, they've got some shakeup that's gone on there with some, defensive and offensive coordinators that have left, assistant coaches that have left, new players coming in, how quickly they can put it all together. And then Mark Schofield of SB Nation will take a look around the entire NFL. I love that segment each and every week. Mark is back tomorrow night. The huddle is back. I mean, we're back. It's great. Love it. That's it. Jerry Kramer, mic drop. There you have it.
Perfect way.
That's it. That's just the way to go. We're probably going to have a couple more of those guys on throughout the week as well. But can't wait. So 1 day down, 3 more yet to go. That's going to do it. Until we talk again 20 hours from now. Time